What a wonderful time it is in history, a time where women are recognized as never before, a time where women are stepping up to the plate and taking the challenges that they thought they would never be given. So today, join us in celebrating some of the women in our local areas who are meeting those challenges, who are taking the step forward, who are change agents. Join us for 12 rounds of wealth, passing the baton. Well, we're ready to begin. And we thank everybody for being here and participating in this International Women's Day and Women's History Month celebration with my show, which is called Business on the Real, which helps small businesses get more exposure and build their clientele by being on Amazon Fire Stick and Roku. So thank you again for being here and joining us. And our first speaker will be none other than Miss Itiba with Blue Trunk Community Garden. She's an amazing woman. She has really inspired me to think more, to do more, and to branch out more in the community, because she does a lot in the communities in the Florida area as well as Puerto Rico. And it's exciting what she's doing. So do you want to go ahead and start, Miss Itiba? It's up on you now.
Wow, I am so blessed to be in this Women's Month event with you and to be the one opening the call, speaking a little bit of what I do. First of all, I want to thank Ellie. I know that this kind of event is not as easy to prepare, so I appreciate you giving us the time and the space to be here. I also want to thank Gabby, because I wouldn't know your mother without you. And the work that you do for our community is also phenomenal. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to share. So a little bit about what I do. I have many hats, but the main one that I carry is being an unschooling parent. I raise 3 children, and they have been on school for the last 3 years or more. And the process of unschooling them has brought and permitted for my spouse and I to realize the needs that the community had. And so when Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Irma passed by both Puerto Rico and then Hurricane Irma, Florida, we saw the needs in our community where beyond just being able to pick up food at a pantry or getting furniture from a community organization. Not to say that this is not imperative needs for our community right now, but we realize that a lot of community services were rooted in white saviorism, white savior complex, and that could be problematic. So that's how Blue Trunk Community Garden Network was established, is that we realized that our community had an immense amount of knowledge and information, and a college degree didn't dictate whether or not somebody's information and resources are valuable. So we came up with Blue Trunk Community Garden Network, and our mission is growing food and power through sustainable arts and culture. So we actually encourage our people to bring in their ancestral knowledge, their grandpas and grandmas' understanding, and share it with the community in order to expand our sustainability, in order to expand our resources, and in order to continue the process of liberation in underserved communities. We do a lot of things. We have a seed bank That's free access to everybody that's involved with Blue Trunk, even if you're not a member. If people need seeds, we encourage people to contact us to share those. We have our community network on Facebook where people exchange knowledge as well as goods. So we'll trade plants or harvest or seeds that way. It's also a place where people ask questions when they're not too sure about their gardens or other sustainability needs that they might have. We also utilize that space to encourage people sharing jobs or businesses that are sustainable and locally owned, that are encouraging local economies to thrive. We have monthly workshops where we do for free, and we do them in person pre-COVID. And now we handle a lot of virtual workshops instead on the moment until things get a little more calm. We're involved with peer support space, which is a place where accessibility to mental health services come hand in hand. And peer support space has granted us twice a month the opportunity to provide a program called Planting Hope. So even though people come out there to do gardening is not the main focus of the event. Actually, what we encourage is utilizing gardening as a form of mental health cope, as a form of healing triggers, as a form of unwinding from the stress. So we encourage anybody to come garden, even if they have no experience. We also have done events in the past, and hopefully we work some more of that related to sustainable menstruation and educating, people with a womb on how they can handle their menstruations in a more sustainable, less toxic way. And I'm actually excited that I've had the pleasure to present this at events by Gabby before. So a lot of community members in Central Florida have obtained this knowledge already, and we're expecting to continue doing so as the years continue. We already talked about this earlier in the year, Gabby and I. And right now, probably one of the most exciting things we're doing, and it fills me with joy because this is something that we have been very intentional about since the beginning of our programs, is our youth cohort. We are currently having a program for children the age of 9 to 18. And we're doing a hybrid, so both virtually, and we're going to be scheduling in-person garden days at our different locations. The goal with this cohort is not only for us to inform and provide the youth with resources related to sustainable living, but also we want the youth to teach us. We want to learn from them. We want to understand what their needs are in order to ensure a more sustainable form of living. Children mimic us, and we can't expect to teach them if we're not learning from them, and if we're not willing and open to learn from them. During COVID-19 times, I believe that the youth has been neglected. They have to do what they have to do because they're children, and people are really not emphasizing the effort that these youth are going through, the adulting that they have to do against their will during this pandemic. And we want to bring that space for them. We want to provide that space that they feel that they're safe, that they can communicate, that they can tell us what their needs are. So in this cohort, we're touching base on topics relating to environment, gardening, healthy eating, school lunches, you name it. We even have local farmers coming in to talk about their own businesses and encourage them in creating agro businesses in the future and so on. So right now, we are looking for more people to get involved with our executive committee, to get involved with our brigades, more people to want to have space to garden at. So if you want more information on that, our website is bluetrunkgarden.org. And then one more thing, which is a passion of mine, and I know it's a passion of Laura as well, is language justice. We are currently working in expanding community understanding of language justice. There's various interpreters like Laura and myself who have our own independent agencies. And we also are in the process of developing a collective of interpreters in Central Florida in order to continue providing language justice services for our community. And what does language justice look like is ensuring that anybody who has access to a video call or a conference, when the conference returns to be in person, that they're able to communicate and that they're able to understand these events in the language that is easiest for them. I've been bilingual for about 22 years now, and I will still prefer to hear calls in Spanish if I'm able to, just because I still have trouble understanding some things in English. And I'm an interpreter, and I have a degree in languages. So imagine how it feels for people who are new to this country, who are not really, who don't have the resources to be able to learn as quickly as others. We should be making room for these people because they're important, because their knowledge is important, and because them learning this sort of things is important as well. So having both American Sign Language and other languages such as Haitian Creole, Spanish, or whatever language is prevalent in your area is very encouraged right now. We encourage you to seek people in your community to find out what language service needs there are, what languages are needed to be provided in your platforms. But honestly, if you don't know where to start, American Sign Language, it's a great way to start, because even within language justice, American Sign Language is also a lot of times ignored. And people forget that it is the language and that we do speak it, and that there's people out there that don't speak anything else.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I thank you guys so much for giving us this space and sharing what y'all gonna share. I'm excited to hear everybody else's space today, and I'm blessed to be around all these beautiful femmes. Much love, y'all.
Okay, and would you give us your website again, please, just in case someone didn't hear you?
The website for Blue Trunk is bluetrunkgarden.org. bluetrunkgarden.org.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and all the services that you bring. And I've been afforded the opportunity, well, we didn't have class, but I, I actually created a teaching on media and food and letting children, especially the children, understand how commercials affect the way they eat, which affects the way they live and their health. So I'm glad to be working in cooperation with the TIVA and Blue Trunk Garden Community Garden Network. So I thank you. And I'm looking forward to some more classes. Thank you. Thank you. Again, you're here at Business on the Real, and we're celebrating Women's History Month. And our next speaker is Miss Gabby Tompkins, and she's out of Florida. And her business is Oshun Yanni Care. Miss Gabby, you have done an amazing job in the Central Florida area. I've been blessed to know you as just not as a person, but as my daughter, and see you grow in some different areas. But the services you provide are very unique in some ways. So I would like for you to share some of that with our guests.
Thank you. I'm happy to. I'm Gabby. Thank you, Ativa and Mom, for the accolades and the kind words. I appreciate it. As Mother stated, I own Oshun Yanni Care. It is, it's kind of hard to describe in a very succinct sentence for me because it is me in the simplest way to say it. It is a way to heal, embrace, and move forward in your feminine energy on all levels. I work with women and young women and children and men and elderly with healing from the inside out. I specialize, as the name indicates, in feminine care, just because I am a woman of color and I've suffered for years. It was, 15 to 20 years from very, very atrocious cycles and other issues associated with hormone imbalance. Once I had my daughter, I came to a point that I wanted to break that generational curse. Because a lot of times we don't understand the way that we think, the way that we eat, the way that we feel, and how our bodies react to our environments, all tie back to curses or things of ignorance, is how I like to look at it, from the previous generation. Especially how a lot of our families came into this country. Many of our traditions and our ways of life that actually feed our beings have been stripped from us. Oshun Yanni Care is here to bring that back to the forefront and to heal people. I go anywhere from counseling just because you just don't feel right today, or maybe your favorite jeans just aren't your favorite anymore and you don't understand why you're looking at them that way, or your children are acting up, or your body's acting up, or you're on a level of, I'm excited about everything and I don't understand why. So every level of emotion I deal with, because it all goes back to our womb. Educating women, men, and children on how the womb is the epicenter of the female everything, and even the family unit, honestly, is key to my business. I teach individuals that listening to our bodies, no matter what the physicians say, no matter what our husbands or children say, listening to our inner G, INNER-G, your inner goddess, is the best way to heal yourself and to understand how to move forward or take a step back. I specialize in just healing overall auras, to put it that way. If you leave a session with me and you don't have some sort of feeling of completeness, then I've not done my job. I'm an individual who will sit with you for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, months, or years if you need me to. I understand that healing is different for everybody, and what I bring to that session is just an unbiased mark. I'm an open book. I give you information about me. I'm not secretive, so you'll learn how I've built it through being raised by a single mother, being divorced at a very early age already, getting pregnant, being that girl who was the one that was supposed to be the doctor and this girl for the country city, to falling off that pedestal and accepting that my fall was not actually a fall, it was my true path. As women, a lot of times, or more often than not, we follow a path that's put before us by everybody else. Because what we feel is invalidated in everything. In media, it's invalidated because we're just sexual beings. In food, it's invalidated because you cook for everybody else and you eat what's left over. Those kind of mentalities are the ways that I'm breaking the generational curses and telling women and families alike, hey, you matter. Your entire being matters. From the weird curl on your head or the straight hair that won't go curly anymore, down to that broken toenail, into your soul that's crying out for attention from anybody. We matter. Your entire being matters. And healing starts from within. I curate products that heal and have energy. I keep getting told that even my soaps to clear skin exudes an energy that forces you to love yourself. And I got this from a male customer the other day. He was like, girl, I have to tell you, your soap screamed energy as soon as I touched it, and I felt better using it. So when I create my products, I have a whole process of cleansing, charging them under the moon cycle, and praying over them before I release them or use them in my product. In this process, I'm able to infuse the healing process that I've endured into these products to assist whoever's touching it to absorb that energy. So I'm not just a retail boutique. I'm not just a counselor. I am so much more than that. I'm really a soul sister. Anybody who needs that in their life. And my products complement. And I don't know. I do have some events coming with Ativa. We will be doing sustainable menstruation. We'll get those dates out there. I have a book coming out. Our products are going in spas in Houston. There are some in Orlando. I will also have some in Denver and Columbus, Ohio soon. So things are just moving along. The message of divine feminine energy is one that's going to be heard loud, clear, and it's also going to be felt. So this coming together today is just a catalyst for the rest of that year. I thank y'all for your time. If you have questions, I'll put my website in the chat. I put Ativa's website in the chat as well for y'all. That's because I know it so well. But oceanyawnycare.com is my site. You can book me there for sessions, buy products there. I even provide wholesale and business counseling. So I thank you all. I look forward to everybody else's presentation.
Thank you so much, Gabby. That was amazing. And yes, I use her products. We're also creating products together. So I'm looking forward to that. I even have one, as a matter of fact, we're starting a line called Cup of Tea, Our Cup of Tea. And it's Our Cup of TEE, where it's a t-shirt, your cup for your tea, and the type of tea that would go with it. This one is Happy to a Tea, and it's HAPPY to a TEA. And you get your t-shirt that has the same logo on it. And also you'll get a tea that helps you with your moods. So that will be available online very, very soon. I just got the cups in last night. I was like, oh my God, please come in. And I had some more t-shirts that were supposed to be here last night, but unfortunately they did not make it. But we're working in collaboration with some different things. And I want to use some of the money that is produced from that line to contribute to nonprofit organizations, especially in the local communities. And if it's, headed by a woman, especially by a woman, and we know we have struggles being in charge of anything because the economic balance is just not there for us. So I want to be able to help somebody else to get started and get on their way. So thank you, Gabby, for all you do. All right. Well, we're running a little early. Is there anyone who wants to go earlier? If you do, you can feel welcome to.
I can go early.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I
Dr.
appreciate
Coleman.
that.
Yes, ma'am. I know
Being
because
that I
you
have a
lot of
91-year-old mom
Yeah, I
that I
know.
take care of.
I know.
But it's okay. I am thoroughly enjoying this. I appreciate you, your audience, and all women for all that you do. For I said last night, there will be no functioning of individuals without women.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabby, I appreciate you and each of you so far for what you are doing. Who am I? Well, that's an interesting subject. I am Dr. Carolyn Coleman. Um, I counsel, I teach, I have a PhD in clinical psychology. I've been pastoring for over 38 years, and I specialize in helping women and men. They used to say men didn't receive counseling. That's not true. I've been counseling men and women for over 38 years and teaching them how to identify their pain points. Because if we cannot identify the pains in our lives and why they exist, we can never let it go and press forward to get to the next level. So through these 38 years of ministry, I have organized some things and just love this mother-daughter thing going on today, because my daughter is Dr. Catherine Coleman Smith, and she owns Crowns and Royalty business, Crown and Royalty Boutique. And I am proud of her, and out of her pain of having alopecia, she started making crowns for women. And I think Jeremiah 29:11 is a great place to identify with who we are this morning. Beloved, because we are his beloved, I know the plans that I have for you, and they are to bless you and not to curse you, to give you a hope and an expected end. So I need you to understand, wherever you started, whatever circumstance brought you to the table of existence, it was for a divine purpose. You're not an accident. You are an intentional gift put in this earth realm to make a difference. And I see that you all are doing that. I am fortunate that several years ago, when Katrina hit in 2005, I believe, I was working as the executive director of a kids college program at Jackson State University. And I was asked to consider having a freedom school. And my thing is children. So we established a freedom school on the college campus and helped many students, K through 12, as well as those students who were matriculating at different universities. And we welcomed them to the campus, and we established relationships with them. Why am I talking about that right now? Because it pushed me into establishing the C-Squared Educational Resource Center, which hopefully we're going to have an honorary graduate soon named Eli. But in C-Squared Educational Resource Center, we have different centers. We also have now 4 other resource centers, one in Atlanta, ran by Crown and Royalty Academy, one in LaPlace, Louisiana, operated by Dr. Antoine Jasmine. Crown and Royalty has one, and Dr. Keisha Flemings in Louisiana has a organization called Madam Presidency. So we set up resource centers, we mentor, we coach, we teach, and we help women and men and our children. The first young lady, thank you so much. You spoke about our children. The key to who I am is healing. How do we heal? That comes in many forms and in many different ways. You can counsel to heal. You can also smile and help heal a soul. You can also share your story. So on Facebook, I'm known as the Lady of Wisdom. And I have the opportunity to come on nightly and share with men and women how to deal with your issues. Because guess what? We all have them. No matter who is here this morning, no matter how grand your bio might look, you have issues that need to be addressed and situations that must be touched if you're going to go to your next level. So I am called the Lady of Wisdom, and I specialize in helping men and women identify their pain point. So how do you do that? How do you help men and women identify their pain point? You help them go back and grab the little girl or the little boy. And the first statement that was made that made them feel like they were not special, that made them feel as if they were unwanted, or make them feel that they were not pretty enough to be in the middle of the game. So I teach you, not on my own, and I have to say this, it is through the anointing of the Holy Ghost that I am able, through the gifting of God, to help you see in your past, call out the affirmative, to counsel the generational curses of ignorance, of sadness, of loss, of slavery, of a mentality that women were supposed to be in the background, not recognizing that you are your own identity. I put down, I'm a pastor, I'm an author, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a CEO, I'm an individual. I'm a caretaker for my 91-year-old mother. So my hats are all over the place, but there's one center, LOVE. When we recognize and understand that our path and the law of attraction are all harmonizing on a daily basis. You attract what you feel. You attract what you believe. You walk in the existence of who someone said you are until you can figure out who you are for yourself. So what am I saying to these beautiful women here today? You matter. That's always my message. Your voice matters. What you say is valuable. Be careful of overthinking. Oh my God. Can't we overthink a thing? Be careful about overthinking, and be careful about what you say to yourself that others can't hear. And then I want you to go back. I'm going to say it again. I want you to go back and visit that little girl, age 5, that somebody said you're never going to make it. And you need to just say, you know what, to that little 5-year-old, come meet me now. Come on, I protected you through the years. We struggled, we cried, we took some wrong turns along the way, but look at us now. And pull her out of that place so that she can join you today, so that you can be made whole. Because that's your purpose. To be all that you can be, not based on what others think, not even based sometimes on what you believe, but in what God says about you, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That you're above and you're never beneath. That your greatness was predetermined before you entered your mother's womb. And all that he made is good. You teach that to your children. You affirm that in your spirit. And you operate with the full knowledge. Some days I'm going to mess up. Some days I'm going to hurt, but while I'm hurting, I'm also healing, and I'm graduating to the next level in me. Now let me invite you to go to my website, www.drcclifecoach.com. www.drcclifecoach.com. I also want to invite you to set up a counseling session if you need it. And that may be not because you feel that anything is wrong, but you just want to get better. Maybe there's a place that needs to be healed. And as one of my former students said, if you want to become a part of our C-Squared Educational Resource Center, where we have seminary school, where we also have our day spring university. If you would like to be a part of any of that, visit the website. You can find out more information there. Please visit me on Facebook as the Lady of Wisdom. You will find nuggets that will help you look in that mirror and say, girl, thank God for you. Come on. Thank God for all that we've been through. And then visit my shop. I'm like Gabby over there. I make botanical bath salts, anointed oils. We sell clothing through my daughter's line, Crowned and Royalty. But more importantly, we're in the business of healing. It's time for you to what? Identify your pain point. Give yourself permission to let go, press forward, and realize you're entitled to the abundant life in Christ. God bless each of you. It's a privilege being here, and I thank God for you and for your promise. Go to your next level, demand more, and today, with the law of attraction in full effect, call yourself to your greatness. Have a good one.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Dr. Woo! Oh my, that was absolutely beautiful. And I love listening to you teach. I sneak in on Facebook sometimes and listen to you. Because it's amazing. Like you said, there are nuggets, and they're not just nuggets, they're golden nuggets that you can live by, truly live by. And I truly appreciate you. Oh my goodness. And I know your mom does, because you're still taking care of her. And that's something in itself, to have that opportunity to take care of your mom.
Yes, 91, and still praying with me, having issues at times. She asked me the other day, and I tell you, Eli, it pushed me to a place. And she said, I don't even know why I'm still here. And I had to take a deep breath. And I said, because you're needed. Mm-hmm. Your prayers, that wisdom, the fact that God has proven to us that you can fall down and get back up again because you've been that source for us. She has taught me never to quit. She believed in my ministry when 38 years ago, people wasn't kind to women in ministry. Mm-hmm. But she said, what God has called you to, you do. I am the lucky one, not mother. I'm the lucky one to be able to look after her and to guard the gift. For generations still alive. You can't say that often, but we can surely applaud it.
Oh, that was beautiful. Even that was beautiful. Oh my goodness. Woo! I really appreciate your being here with us today and helping us to understand, again, this is a layering that we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And we're going from one layer to another, not to peel it off and expose it and make it feel bad, but to put a balm on it to help it heal. And I really appreciate you. So now we have Miss Tranisha Marks. Hi, Tranisha, how are you? She's in the Las Vegas area, and this is the Cookie Lady. Yes, and she is an amazing spiritual woman. I have enjoyed talking to her so much, and she travels all over the world presenting the Word of God. And I'm so thankful that you're here with us today. So tell us more about you and what you do, Miss Tranisha.
Okay, I am known as the Cookie Lady. When I started my company, I was Remarkable Creations, and my customers deemed me the Cookie Lady. And it just it took off. So nobody ever remembered Remarkable Creations. Everything was the Cookie Lady. So I just switched everything over when I decided that, my customers, that's what they wanted. So that's what they got. So recently, probably about the last couple of years, I've been doing schools, and this is where me and Miss Eli were talking, and I do schools in Africa. Basically, what my goal is to empower the kids, and so we start businesses, and I teach them how to bake. And what they do is, as we're teaching them how to bake, we're able to purchase like cows and chickens and stuff, and help them to do grow some citrus and things on the land, so that they can take their the money that they get, and they can be able to pay for the funding for the school, be able to pay for some of the other stuff that they're doing. And so my goal was really to do it in America, and but God really gave me favor in third world countries, so that's really where I'm at. I'm in I have 2 schools in Kenya, I have 2 schools in Ghana, I have a school in Tanzania, and I teach kids from Barbados, Bahamas, Jamaica, like so many different places. So I was telling Miss Eli, like, I feel like I could stop doing this in America, and the kids would just find something else to do. But when I'm teaching there, I'm empowering, and so I feel like it keeps me in the game, because it's a difference between them eating and going to school. It's a difference between them being able to purchase shoes to be able to walk into the villages, and it's a difference between their lifestyle, like whether they're going to, and whether they're recently we just started a program where we work with some of the widows from the church, and what we do is I teach them how to bake, and they take their resources, and so they can buy the material to make their skirts and their head wraps. So so bartering is very, very big down there. And so I really feel like my goal, or the call that God has given me, is to shift wealth, and to be able to my goal is to leave more than I basically go there and leave more. So I purchased the land, I built the schools, and we basically employ the villages so that they can come in and do it. But the goal is to make them self-sufficient. And my goal is to have schools all over the world where they don't have to pay anymore, but they're able to go and get a good education so that they can get a good start in life.
And you're doing a fantastic job, because I know you've had some struggles in some of those areas. Just even acquiring the land and getting people to do the construction work. And it's a different type of mentality, and it's a different type of landscape that you've had to work with. But you have adjusted so well, and you're learning throughout the process. So, you're moving from place to place, from country to country, and helping people, especially the children. Will you share that story about the little boy who learned how to bake? Oh my gosh, those cookies.
I have a little boy. His name is David. And David is actually the very first. He was kind of like my protege. He was the one that I was like, if I could do this for him, I could probably do it for some other people. I met his uncle in Antigua. I was preaching at a conference in Antigua, and I met his uncle. And his uncle was like, I have a nephew that really, really likes to bake. And I was like, hey, I don't mind teaching him. So what I taught him to do was to make the oatmeal raisin cookie. And so he started with just one cookie, oatmeal raisin cookie, and he was able to create income for himself. He had people coming all over to get them little oatmeal raisin cookies. And so then I taught him the peanut butter cookie, I taught him the chocolate chip cookie and different things. And so what he does is he was the one we were able to purchase a cow for, and some chickens, and built the chicken coops. And so what he does is he sells the eggs and the milk in order for him to be able to do some things that he does. But David, once he did that, he was so excited. He called me with a story. And this is what made me like, I think I was just, sometimes God will give you a confirmation where you're going through, and I'm overcoming fibromyalgia. So sometimes my muscles will lock up really, really bad. And I do all of this work from my couch. Y'all see this couch behind me? This is where I do all of my work. I do literally everything online, and I'm doing everything on sometimes we make so many excuses for what we're doing. But that particular day, I was really hurting. And I'm just like, God, sometimes, it just seems overwhelming at times, because when he called me to go, I wasn't healthy. I was going through, it didn't make sense for me to go to the globe and go to the world when I was going through some of the worst pains in my life. And so, David called me, and he was so excited because he had purchased his first pair of shoes. It's a big deal for him because they made their shoes, and they made them with wood, and they made them with the rubber, and they put their, tied it and do all this stuff. But those are the shoes he wore for his whole life. But for him to be able to purchase a pair of Nike tennis shoes so that he could walk into the village was all the difference. But that wasn't the part that gave me confirmation on what I really was called to do. It was the part that he was so excited of buying a pair of shoes for his little sister. And his little sister is 7, and he kept telling me, Pastor Tanisha, he said, she's gonna be so much better than me because I didn't get my first pair of shoes till I was 11, but she got her first pair of shoes at 7. And so it just made me really want to, for him, my goal with him is to actually have him operate. I'm training him from 11, hopefully to around 16. By the time he's 16, he'll be able to fully run my global, everything that's over in Africa. He'll be able to oversee it and be able to create a really good income for him and his family. But that little boy is something else. And he was able, his mom had never had a pair of shoes. So he was able to we bought her some shoes and just be able to upgrade their life. It's such a big deal, like just to be able to upgrade their life.
Absolutely. And as I said, you're doing a remarkable job. Just what I heard you explain, because we met on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And so when I was hearing your story, I was like, I have to contact her. So I immediately DM'd her on Instagram so that I could connect with her. So I'm like, I have never heard anything like this. And there was such a great response to what you were saying that so many people wanted to support you. And that's one of the things that I want to be able to do and continue to do throughout my life, because I'm also connected with a lot of the countries I call them nations in Africa. And I have a lot of friends over there. I was just on a conference call with a new, it's like a conglomerate of different businesses in Africa. So I was on a conference call with them Thursday. I'm sorry, it was Thursday. And just the things that they're doing and able to achieve with much less than we have. But they're willing to go ahead and put their all into it so that they can create something better for the next generation. And so this is what 12 Rounds of Health, Passing the Baton is about. It's about preparing and assisting the next generation and so on and so forth. Because if we don't, nobody will.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
Tanisha Marks on Facebook. I'm Tanisha Marks on Instagram. It's just how my name is spelled. It's on there. I'm also known as, on Facebook, they don't let me change the name, but it's Remarkable Creations, also known as the Cookie Lady. And that's how you can do it. I wanted to say one thing before, but I think sometimes we think we have to be perfect in order to go. And when God is just asking us to be willing. I just told you guys, I'm building in a country I've never been. I've never been to Africa. But I've had grace in Africa where God has gifted me with the ability to have spiritual kids all over the globe to be able to empower them to be able to do different things. I told you guys, I do it from the comforts of my house, but I think the Lord gave me this land. He gave me several acres of land because one day I'll walk the land. It'll be something that I won't, and it's a reminder of the blessing or the reminder of the healing that God has promised me. And I think sometimes we think, I'm still in the process of getting websites. I'm still in the process of getting all of this stuff, but I started with just a flyer. I started with a flyer that said, Bake with the Cookie Lady, $10. And what I wanted to do was just empower everyone so that no matter how many kids they had, they would be able to bake. So it was $10 for them. Of course, in Africa and all that stuff, I don't charge. But, and I stocked the kitchens. I built the kitchens with, we started off on barbecue grills because they did not have the ovens. And so I've been able to purchase ovens now. We've been able to build another wing on the school so that we can have barbers. They ship the stuff and ship them a disk drive so that they can get lessons, so that they can cut hair. And so we've been able to build not only just the kitchen, but also the barber to where they can come in and learn how to cut hair and stuff. And so what I just feel led to just share, like sometimes we have all these obstacles and we can get discouraged and we can get distracted in what we're doing. But if we get distracted, then we miss out on the purpose that God has. I learned him more in my pain and more in being able to go past what I thought I could, more in the empowering, more in the leaving more, leaving more here than what I take. That is my goal. When I die, I want my books to be out, still training leaders, still training ministers, still training people, in order to do it. And so, like I said, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to be an inspiration. So,
Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Woo! That was awesome. Thank you so much. Now, Miss Tranisha is also a teacher at a university. And so if she has to jump off, she has to go to graduations. I think you have 1 or 2 graduation ceremonies today.
I do, but I'll be on for a little bit. I don't want to just jump off. I'll be on for a little bit. But yeah, when I do jump off, it's because we actually have a graduation today that I have to be at too. Yeah.
Yes, and that is amazing. She's always teaching classes, always teaching someone in some form or fashion. And so I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have Miss Ashley Butler. Yes, yes. I haven't seen Ashley in, gosh, it's been probably a couple of years now. But I met her during a meeting, and she was actually the presenter at a meeting. And she is the owner of Butler Automotive. And her story was amazing. I've never heard this type of story before. She's a fantastic speaker. She's a wonderful businesswoman. And she can teach us a thing or two because she's one of those young people who have taken charge and are moving forward. Hi, Ashley. How are you?
Good morning, Sheila. How you doing?
I am excited and I'm well. It's good to see you.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. I'll tell you what, it wasn't a fall, it was a launching pad. It's Gabby Tompkins. Be careful what you say to yourself, Dr. Coleman. We're creating space for people with different abilities. Everything this morning has been such a gift and a blessing. I would tell you that. I've been getting touched and served, and I've been hearing things that can help myself, my wife, and my sister, so much so that I sent them a message. I see Mari's here. I sent them a message to say, you guys got to jump on here. It's good stuff, you know. So they've joined us this morning to hear all the jewels and tools that you women are bestowing upon us. My story comes, I'm Tampa native. I came into this world. My mom was a young girl, and she brought me into this world, brought my sister into this world, and she taught us some very cool core values. And she told us something every single day before we went to school, to go to school and be somebody. It was every single day. So when I hear you telling how we should embed positive thinking into children and teach them that they're not their circumstance, it's the best thing that we have to continue to pass on, because the circumstances of our youth were typical of everything you hear, you know. Mom holding it down, taking care of everything, everybody looking out for each other in the house, too much responsibility on young people, but it taught them how to be situationally aware. It taught them how to be ready for the world. So there were some things that people would write in a movie and maybe weep a little bit, but there were more abundant and bountiful things that came out of the upbringing. And so I just want to acknowledge what I've heard so far and say thank you. And I look forward to meeting with you all in one-to-ones. We could do it on the Zoom. But my talk today is going to be kind of about entrepreneurship, philanthropy, community engagement, and of course, getting the bag, as the young people say. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I love creating multiple forms of income. And so one thing that happened for me is when I had the opportunity to go to the University of South Florida, I met some entrepreneurs and we kind of all partnered up. And the beautiful thing is I watched them now in life, and we're all pretty successful at what we strived out to be. One of my great friends, Domar Cross, my now wife, Adrienne Julius, my sister, like all these people who have come into my path, we all seem to have figured out a way to beat our drum and create freedom and create purpose, which is more important, I think, than any amount of earthly gatherings we can gather, even though we will gather them. So if my pace is good for our translators, you guys can give me a thumbs up. If I need to slow down, go ahead and tell me. All right, looks good. Thank you, Miss Katie. Thank you. My wife and I, my aunt, all study ASL in our undergrad. And so we do appreciate the conversation Ms. Marks began with us in saying how it is important for us to create space, for people to be exactly who they are when they need to be and still get everything everybody else in the room is gathering. So thank you all again. There was a book called Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Everybody talks about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, simply put, there was a guy who had a friend, and his family was wealthy, but the wealthy father was not as intelligent as his own father, and his intelligent birth father was not, he wasn't wealthy, and the friend's father was wealthy but less educated. And so in the book, he shared all the principles of understanding how life's financial report card works. And basically, it's your financial statement. Any single one of us who've ever applied for a line of credit, the bank sends you a deal and it says, how much money do you have in the bank? How much money do you have in retirement? How much money do you have in property? How much money do you have? And you go through every single accumulation that you've created and you put that over there on your asset side of the paper. And then on the other side of the paper, they say, now who do you owe? Do you owe the government? Because there's certain people when they lend you money that they have to get behind, and they want to know who are they behind if they need to collect on this loan they're going to give you. And so they say, well, do you owe the government? Do you owe student loans? Are those student loans backed by the government? Do you owe credit cards? Are you in any type of legal commitments that you're obligated to pay? How much income? Now we move from the liability side of that balance sheet, and they say, how much income do you make? Do you make any other forms of income? And you get to write down on this sheet of paper everything you've accumulated. You get to write down everything you owe, and you get to write down all the different forms of information or income that you have. Some underwriter will take that and they do some calculations, and they will see if you are a healthy credit risk, right? They're gonna say, you know what? This is pretty good for the bank. We think if we put these funds in your hands, you're gonna be a great steward of them, and we're gonna be able to create a long relationship with you. Now, it's taken me 37 years to be able to explain that process in a simple way to where anybody can understand what I just said. What I think is that we have to do more of that type of speaking to our young people. And we need to teach them early in the game of life how to look at resources, how to look at spending and saving and enjoying. And so there's a place for everything, as I'm sure Dr. Coleman would say. But to make sure that they're doing it in a certain fashion will make sure that they have time to break some of those generational curses and not have to trade their hours for dollars, which brings me back to the cash flow quadrant. The second book, Robert Kiyosaki, that I read of Robert Kiyosaki was the cash flow quadrant. The first one was the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This next book says that there are 4 different categories of income makers. One category is the employee. This is the category of the person who trades their time for money. They take an hour of money, it sets inside of a certain process or procedure in a company. They say, we've done the math. This is worth $18 per hour. This is worth $10 an hour. And you make an agreement. I will come here, do your process and procedures for this much money per hour. The next category is the self-employed on the quadrant. And if you're writing this down, you can draw a line down the middle and cross it over. In the first upper left quadrant, write an E, and you can do a little time symbol equals time for money. Below that quadrant, there's an S. You can Google it as well. Pull it up. There's some Google images, Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. The S stands for specialized knowledge, specialist, somebody along these lines. These are your doctors. These are your lawyers. These are your athletes. These are your specialists in society. They know how to do something. Your plumbers. They trade skill for money. They get good at something and they're able to, people see value in their specialized skills and they get a little bit more money usually for their time or for their value they bring to the market. 95% of the people in the world make their money in one of those two ways. On the upper right-hand side of the quadrant, there is the business system owner. These are usually your franchise owners. They invest in a system that works whether they're there or not. They take a system and put accountabilities in place, and the system turns into money. They get a profit off of it. Now, effectively, this system should be something that runs without you. If you have such a system and you also have a job inside of that system, you are both either a E, a S, and a B. So if you own a McDonald's and you're the GM, you're the B, business system owner, and you're the E. So you have two different ways to make money out of that one entity. Everybody follow? Pretty simple, right? Good. I would like it to be simple because this is a conversation I think we should break down to kids, and everybody should learn it. Now you're making money from two different parts of this quadrant, right? At the end of the year, you'll get a W-2, and your tax attorney or whoever does your taxes, they'll either give you a Schedule C on your 1040, they'll give you an 1120S if you're an S corporation, which I strongly recommend. But I'm not a financial advisor or any of those things, so consult your own advisors before you take any of my information to heart. Disclaimer, Ms. Eli. All right, so now that's the business system owner. So we've discussed the E, the employee, the person who trades time for money. We've just discussed the specialized person who takes a skill, some type of skill they have, and they trade that value for money. And then we have the B, business system owner, who creates a system, and that system kills off profits and they get those. The last quadrant below the B is the I. This is the investor. This is the person that takes money and they create or resources, and those resources turn into further expanded resources. The goal in life for most people is to try to move from the left-hand side of the quadrant over to the right-hand side of the quadrant. Because the right-hand side of the quadrant does a few things. It usually creates leverage. It usually creates time freedom. It usually creates what most people want. They think it's more money and more time, but what I think most people want is time to do things that bring purpose. I think that's what most people want, but they think they have to get the money to get to that thing. 5% of the population on the planet reside on the B and I side, the business system owner and investor side. 5% of the people on the planet. Well, you want to hear something really cool? Well, kind of not cool, depending on how you feel about it. 95% of the money resides on the right-hand side of the quadrant. 95% of the money is shared with only 5% of the population. Well, what does that mean? That means the people on the E and the S side, where 95% of the people reside, are sharing on only 5% of all the wealth. It's very lopsided. But the cool thing is, once you recognize this quadrant, you can start to figure out where and what and how this works out for you and what you need to do to get into the positions that you want to be in. Myself, I am an automotive technician. I'm a specialist. I am an operations director, and I work in leadership in my company. I'm an E. I'm a business system owner. I own a franchise, and I am an I. I invest in real estate, and I now picked up trading in the past few months. So I'm an options and stock swing trader. So in 2002, February 22nd, 2002, I made a decision that I was going to be a millionaire. I was a student at the University of South Florida. I read these books and I made a promise to myself that I would be a millionaire. Well, I have a new goal. The goal is to become a liquid millionaire, because remember that balance sheet that we're talking about? you can accumulate 4 $250,000 homes on your balance sheet and pay down on them over time. But on the paper, the bank will see you as a millionaire. Yet and still, that doesn't mean your cash flow will sustain your lifestyle in the way that you think a millionaire lives. And so there's different things that I've learned about money in my journey that has me say that I look for multiple forms of income, because when one is down, another one is up, and it continues to kind of carry you through life. So many times as an entrepreneur, I've had to empty out the retirement funds that I put aside for my future to stay in the game of business. So many times I had to look myself in the face and say, are you gonna get a BK, or are you gonna tighten your belt, eat some oodles and noodles, and get yourself out of this, girl? All those, like some of those behaviors and things that got me into those situations were what Miss Gabby was talking about earlier. Generational curses, not knowing how to manage money, coming from a household where cash advance was a normal way of managing overflow, not proper use of an expansion credit card or all the other things that I've learned. My time is nearing up, so I'm going to be mindful of other people who are speaking. But I'll tell you that recently I was on Instagram and I found these cards, Financial Jumpstart Academy, and I bought 4 packs of them. And I dropped one off to my cousin's house. I gave some to the children in my family, and I kept 1 box of these cards. And basically each one of these cards is like flashcards that talks about all the different things that children should be learning. What is a credit inquiry? What is a credit report? What are taxes? What are needs? What are resources? What's a credit score? What's the credit bureau? All these things that I believe we could be doing in this community, just like baby can read, just like learning to do the TikTok dance. If I can let the kids sit down and play the game for 2 hours, I can study with them and throw the ball and do flashcards about, do you know this, and do you know that, and do you know this? And you know what I found? Children love stuff like that because they're getting smarter every day. And if you don't believe that, hand an iPad to a 3-year-old and you will figure out how smart they are. That is all of my time. And I do enjoy this conversation. So I'm going to drop a couple things here in the chat link. It's my IG, my Facebook, company websites, a Facebook video from the Black Leadership Network at the University of South Florida, where we create scholarships for African American students. And so you can take a look at that. And then I'm also gonna add Dr. Elizabeth Hodge Freeman, University of South Florida, Anti-Racism USF website that she has put together, because I think this is just something that we should spread around in the community. I think I might have added that twice. So anyhow, my name is Ashley Butler. I'm here as a community partner and to be a communication, a contribution to the world. I want to thank my wife, Adrienne Julius, for being here. She runs the real estate division of our portfolio. Without her, I couldn't do many things. She's my partner in Butler Automotive Management. She's my partner in Sanity. And so I have to acknowledge her and my sister, Brittany Taggett. She's on here. She's got the 5 F's of life. And then Mari, my awesome administrative assistant. Thank you all for being here. Y'all have a great weekend. And I'm going to stick around to learn some more.
Oh, thank Ashley. That was awesome. That was such a good, rich teaching. And yes, I have read those books, and it's really sad that a lot of our communities, because most of us here are of African descent or, Latinas, but most of our communities did not grasp the concepts in those books, or we were afraid to grasp them and move on. And that's something that happened to me because I had so many negative, or, the negative Nans, sitting around me saying, oh, that's not true. That's not true. But I'm thinking, yes, it is. Then why is he successful and you're not? But everybody wants to keep you down. And I thank you for, even sharing with me before when we met about how you were traveling the globe, and it was so freeing. And our conversation was so rich. Oh my goodness. And so when I just had to have you on this panel, I really did, because you bring so much to the table in the community. And I thank you so much.
I have to unmute myself. Thank you for having me. I can't wait for this world to open back up. There's some places I gotta get to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, we have Miss Jenny Ramirez here, and she is, oh my gosh, she is another amazing woman that I have met recently. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I wanted to create 12 rounds of well passing the baton, because we have multi-generations here, but it's our responsibility to hand off the baton and hand it off in the proper way, because I ran track. And so if you don't hand the baton off in the proper way, it slows the next person down, that next part of your team down. And you see a lot of pictures, even the images on maybe Pixabay or Pexels, and they're handing off the baton, but they're grabbing it like this. That's not the proper way. The team that's going forward has to have their hand back in the proper way, have kind of a jump start as you're getting closer, and there are code words that you use. And then you do your hands like this, and your hand goes back, and that's the hand that you put the baton in. But it's all timed, it's all coordinated. And if you don't do those things, and we've had enough damage from generation to generation because we have not done those things. But we have to learn order, and we have to be willing to hand off the baton to the next generation in the proper way. So Miss Jenny Ramirez, would you please share with us Miss She Alpha Company?
Hello, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here, part of the panel. It's been an exciting journey, to be quite honest with you. For those of you, if I've never spoken to you before, I would definitely love to connect with after. You know, building companies and building businesses and being able to pass that forward, I think that's one of the strongest missions that we have for She Alpha. I remember very strongly with my business partner when we first started this journey, we used to say to each other, it's not impossible for women to work together. It's not impossible for women to be able to lead different generations and highly impact women in a different way. You know, we have to put all of the things that we've been through behind so that we can pass it in a different way. And I think that that's essentially what we're trying to do here, you know, with all the lovely and amazing women that we have here today on this panel as well. You learn different things through time, and I got to catch Ashley's information as well, but you gather that information, and as you continue to grow in your businesses, as you continue to grow in leadership as well, you learn that there's different ways to be able to transition and convert that message and to bring in more women and involvement so that we can all expand together.
Absolutely. Now, we met at the Hispanic Professional Women's Association. I joined that group because I'm like, you know, I love some Latinas. Oh, the energy, girl, it's like it just flows, and I fit right in. And it was like, you want to join? Yes, I want to join. I'm the only African American, but I don't care. You know, part of me somewhere is a Latina. I don't care, because I just love people, and I like learning about different cultures, and that exposure is so important to me. Because one of Gabby's friends was asking me the other day, and she's a Latina. She said, you speak Japanese? I said, a little bit. I speak a little Hebrew. I speak some Spanish, and I speak some, there's another language, French. I speak French. And so she was like, really? I said, anytime I go somewhere, I at least want to be able to engage in a short conversation with someone. It's important to me. My dad was that way. So if we can start engaging with different communities from different heritages, because we came from the same place, but if we engage on a level where we can be understood, everything will be a lot smoother. So I'm enjoying, and when you were teaching, Jenny, you were teaching about building your business. You and your partner were teaching that class. I was in awe, because you two are such go-getters, and your knowledge base is phenomenal. I was really, really impressed. Can you share more about some of the trainings you're offering?
Yes. So at Chi Alpha, currently we have different programs. Right now, we have them all behind the scenes because we do like to keep our clientele base a little bit more private. We are going to be expanding a little bit more open at the next couple of months here, but we do offer anything between mentorships, sponsorships, depending on what it is that our clientele base needs. But a lot of our programs include more so of developing an individual, whether it's in leadership or learning different strategic measures for business, learning to do all of those steps that you need really when you are starting off your business. I think a lot of times we don't get a helping hand where women are like, hey, let me show you the pathway, or let me show you how I got to be in this place of success. And we also do collaborations a lot with different women in different industries. So if they do have a particular expertise, we bring them on board with us so we can have a panel of board when we are going through the process of coaching different women in their business entireties.
Yes, ma'am. And so, and you also have a book club, right?
Yes, yes. Our book club has been very successful. We're currently on our 4th edition. Now, it's not any book club. Our book clubs are pretty exciting because we actually bring in different speakers to talk about what it is that we're learning. And we also do bring in the book club host, and our book club host holds it for 8 weeks. During those 8 weeks, it's not just about reading the book, it's also about developing the skills within the book. So we challenge our book club members. We provide different techniques that we can use, and we also set goals during that time frame. Along as well, at the end of the session, we actually bring the author as well to connect with our book club members.
Wow, I didn't know you brought the authors in as well, because I have not quite joined that yet. I'm going to. Because I watch you on Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so methodical. That's when I really do love that about you. And just recently, you have been living in Mexico.
Yes, I actually spent about 5 months in Mexico. From there, I transitioned into Brazil. I was in Brazil for about 3 months. And I just came back to the US, but I'm only going to be here for a month and then heading back out probably to Costa Rica. I am loving it. I'm loving it.
Yes. And that was one of your goals.
Yes, yes. You know, I don't talk about this enough, and I thank you for opening it for me, Ellie. But I think for a really long time, I accommodated myself to live a kind of life that was almost pressured on me. You know, I adjusted to my circumstances and I wanted to, get a house, get a car, have a corporate career, do all of these things that just society pushes on you because it's the thing to do. And then after being unhappy for so long, I realized, hey, this is not the kind of life that I want. I want to be able to move with my job. I want to be able to transition, go to different places, smell the fresh air in different cities, so it's been a beautiful journey. And ever since I sold everything, it's been amazing. I can just pick up and go, and I travel with my pet too and my partner. So it's been amazing.
Yes, that's awesome. And I love all the different photos that you're sharing online and the experience. You're not just sharing photos just for the sake of sharing photos. You are actually sharing the experience, and even in the way the photos are created. And I'm just like, I want to go. I want to go.
Absolutely. You're welcome to join me anytime.
Yes, ma'am. I really appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, I'm actually going to paste it on here as well. But anybody, we are on all social media platforms at Chi Alpha Co. And we do have also a website. Please feel free to connect and chat. Yes, you are welcome to Trinisha. Please join us. And you guys can connect with me anytime. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to talk to any ladies.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellie, for having me.
Awesome. Absolutely. This is so exciting. I am so glad to be here today. I am so glad to be amongst these powerful women who have enriched my life. Actually, you've changed my perspective about a lot of things today. And I thank you for that, from the beginning to where we are now. And so I look forward to even engaging with you even more. I'm just almost speechless. I really am, because this has really touched my soul. And I thank you so much. Now we have our next speaker, who is Dr. Deborah King. We met it's been either 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago now, at Les Brown training. She highly impacted my life. I'll never forget her. I was going through a troubling time at that very moment at the training. And she took me aside and she consoled me. And in that consoling, she counseled me just by her actions. It didn't take words, but by her actions. And I'll never forget her. So I would like to present to us all Dr. Deborah King. Thank you for joining us.
How are you this morning?
Absolutely wonderful.
It is indeed my pleasure to be here with you and to share a little bit of my thoughts about mental health. And mental health is such an important area that we as women don't always give enough attention to. We are true providers and caregivers for everybody else that we sometimes tend to overlook ourselves. And if we continue to pour out into others, we forget that we have to be filled back up too. So I want to talk about how mental health plays the biggest part in our success as trailblazers, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as business developers, because our true wealth comes from wisdom and understanding. And that's within us. So if we pay attention to the things and the signs that we see, we empower ourselves. So what I'm trying to get across is that a sound mind will give us all the success we need, because if we sit still and look at what's going on around us, we pay attention to what is lacking in every area of our life or our business. We have that opportunity to then give that the attention that it needs. So, we're faced with, as African American women, I know in this community, mental health is shunned due to stigmas and labels. And what I need to get across is that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but in fact, the way to stay strong. Everybody needs somebody. And we have to be able to just pour into ourselves. As business owners, a lot of times we would think if we talk about we're having anxiety or we're getting a little depressed or we're frustrated, that means that we're showing weakness as that boss. But really, that's showing power that we're human as well as being a boss. So we have to empower ourselves, then motivate ourselves and inspire ourselves to be our best self. So we have to make sure that we're taken care of first. We must self-validate, ladies. Self-validate. We do not need the blessings, approval, or permission of anyone else. We just need our own. And if we have a goal, let's go for it. If we have a dream, don't let nobody steal it, because everyone that's riding with us is not riding for us. We are our own best asset. So if we keep ourselves empowered and strong, there's nothing that could come at us. We get back, devil. I see you coming, because all they do is try to get us to doubt ourselves. If we know we got a good idea and it is going to provide a service, we must first learn everything there is to know about our business, from the bottom to the top. Therefore, no one can hold us hostage at any part or level of our business if they choose not to come to work that day, because we can fill in and run it ourselves. And if we don't know it, learn it. But don't ever let anybody do more or know more about your business than you do. Now we're doing a disservice to ourselves. So we need to start in every morning with encouraging ourselves. We are worthy. We are enough. We are loved. We are beautiful. We are strong. God gave us two hands. Hug yourself. You don't need to get a hug from nobody else. Nobody needs to pat you on the back for doing what's expected of you. And you are empowered to be on that level of excellence because it's in you to begin with. If we're creative enough to think it, we're powerful enough to implement it, and we're powerful enough to watch it manifest and come into existence. All we have to do is believe. So, we just need to do self-checks every day. You know, when we wake up in the morning, we are thankful because we're given another opportunity to get it right. And then when we get ready to go to bed at night, we're thankful and grateful because we've accomplished just another day. So let's start setting small, obtainable goals for ourselves. It might be tackling a closet, you know, and every day don't walk past that closet. One day you got to start. And we just get through that closet, but we can check that off our list. So the more we do that we say we're gonna do, the more empowered we are, because now our goal is put into action. And now that action will make something come out of that we've created, be it a redone closet, reorganized shelves, or a new division in our company. But it's something we set the goals, we working at our own pace. Our goal is nobody else's but our own, so we don't need nobody else's opinion but our own. Give ourselves a break and take the pressure of the world off our shoulders, because all that is allowed by us. Can't nobody upset us unless we let them. Can't nobody, you know, frustrate us unless we let them. We don't have to allow anything or anyone to take rent space in our head. But let them know that we appreciate you wanting to talk about me today, because that means I made a difference. I made an impact. They are, our naysayers are our best cheerleaders. Good publicity or bad publicity is all publicity because they're talking about you. Now we learn to work that energy to put it to our good. You know, so there is nothing that we can't do as women. We take care of the world. We wives, we mothers, we teachers, we nurses, we doctors, we're faith givers, we're supporters, all of that under the title of woman. So we are unstoppable, and the only person that can get in our way is ourselves. So sometimes we need to just stay in our lane and get out of the way and let the magic happen. Because if we believe in ourselves, we are the mirrors of the world. We're the mirrors of our family. We're the mirrors of our children. So we set the standard, you know, because they're looking to us to see how we're going to handle it. If we handle it with grace, if we handle it, you know, with tenacity, then therefore that's how they're going to be too. Because knowledge is the key. So like I said, the greatest wealth we can impact on ourselves is wisdom and understanding. We have the wisdom to go after this goal. Now we need to understand what it's going to take us to get there. It might not happen overnight, but we keep at it. Our goal is to not quit. Don't let anyone have us quit. No one talk me out of my own idea so that they can turn around and do the same thing and claim it as their own. No, we ain't gonna have that. You know, we not gonna have that. So as women, let's empower each other, be in a circle of like-mindedness, because if you're not trying to raise me up, then I need to let you go. Because I don't want to settle for anything. I want my hands to reach for the stars. I'll settle for the clouds, and may my feet never touch the ground. I want to be where I'm making that impact. I want to be that change agent. But I got to first change it within myself, because I have to set the standard and the bar for how I will be treated. So you get to get one, but I have to address that and say, you know, I didn't like how you talked to me the other day. So I got to let you know how I felt about that. Now going forward, if you come at me like that again, I can't be held responsible for my response. But I forewarned you. So it's not like I flipped out or I came out of pocket. No, I intellectually told you what was going to be the outcome for the reaction to your action. Set our standard of how we're going to be treated. You know, if we are queens, address me as a queen. You know, talk to me as a queen. Don't make me your subordinate. I can be your equal, but do not make me your subordinate. So that's keeping good mental health, because if we feel good about ourselves, why are we depressed? Why are we anxious? We're not letting that little enemy creep in and say what you can't do. We have to change the vocabulary in which we speak to ourselves. It's no more, I can't. That word has to be taken out of our vocabulary. I can, I will, I'll do, you know, I am good enough, I am enough. We have to take all the negatives out of our vocabulary. Positivity is the key. You know, life and death is spoken in the tongue. So the only difference between good and evil is intent. So when I come at you, what is my intention? What is my motivation behind it? Now, if I want to build my business or build wealth, I got to build like-minded people. I have to encourage them, inspire them, and motivate them to want to help me get to where I need to go. And when you make it a loving environment where people's opinions are appreciated and you listen, then you have a stronger circle, a stronger workforce. Because evidently you needed that division, or you wouldn't have it as part of your business or your structure or your foundation. So that opinion has to matter. You know, no question is a dumb question. Somebody else wanted to ask it but was afraid to do it. Use your voice. Our voice is our tool. Don't sit back and say, oh, you know, I was thinking the same thing. I should have said that. Be that one to say that. Be that one to say that. Speak your goodwill into existence. I will have a successful company in 2021. I will have the tools I need to reach my goals. The doors will open for me to get with the people I need to get with, to get to the direction or get to the destination that I want to go to. The power lies within. The power lies within. So that sharp mind, that loved mind, that encouraged mind will guide you where you want to go. You know, because we fall from the head. So if our head isn't right, they can cut our head off and now our dream is dead and we just squirming around. But once we build up on that solid foundation, I shall not be moved. You know, and we just got to do our thing. But get with each other, form little groups and say, hey, how is your project going? What can I do to help you? Then they're going to circle around, well, what can I do to help you? And that's how your networks of creativity is birthed. You know, and when you get that group together and everybody adding a little piece to that puzzle, the picture you create together is beautiful. And everybody is feeding everybody. And it's like a continuous movement in a river or a stream. It just flows without blockage, without obstacles. Water learns how to flow over the rock. Water learns how to flow under the rock. Water flows around the rock. So if we working together, what I can't lift, my sister can. What I can't move, my sister can help me move. But don't fall into the pits of jealousy. Don't fall into being that naysayer. Don't try to bring someone else down. Always empower your fellow sister. If her crown is tilted, straighten it up. Don't talk about her, help her. You know, so we are our best assets. We're strong to begin with. So now all we have to do is rebirth the strength that we already possess that we may have just stifled for a while. It's never too old to learn. It's never too late to start. We just got to be the best we can be. And in dealing with this COVID situation and the isolation, we remove all the negatives. because COVID gives us the opportunity to sit with ourselves, by ourselves, for ourselves, to learn how to love ourselves. Now we put all that together. When we come out from behind these closed doors, the plan is laid. The blueprint is made. And I'm empowered to step right into my new purpose and destination, because I sat there and put the plan together, and I worked on all the weak areas of myself while I was by myself. So nobody could stop me. Nobody could discourage me, you know? So now I'm coming out and I'm ready to roll, because I don't have no wrinkles and blemishes. I'm my best. And when I come out to express what I want to do, I feel empowered, and I can present myself in a manner that I will be received. So set it up for yourself. If you want to wake up every morning, dress like you're going out. Don't put on your pajamas. Motivate yourself to be your best self. You know, we've all seen the commercial where the camera drop and you only got the top of your suit on. Dress up for yourself and say, ooh, girl, I look good today. Oh, I'm rocking this outfit, my hair done, my nails done, because date yourself on a daily basis. If we work for everybody else, you take some money out of your paycheck and treat yourself every week, because you shouldn't just work to pay a bill. Empower yourself. You got to be the best, because you know, when your light shine, everybody gonna notice. They're gonna say, man, what is she doing? But she looking good, her skin is looking good, her hair and nails is always done. And all we doing is just leaning on the grace of God and our sisters to get where we need to go. But the world don't need to know if we struggling or having a problem. We're gonna present ourselves completely ready. And in the behind the scenes, we talk to somebody to get the help we need, because secrets keep you sick. So as a mental health therapist, I'm telling you, you don't repress nothing, let it go. If you got to scream into a pillow, let it go. Because once you've released it, you don't have to carry it no more, because only you give it the power to give you stress. So we just got to let it go and just relax and release and revive. Take you that bubble bath. Take you some me time every day. If it's only 10 or 15 minutes, don't disconnect from your phone, your computer, the internet, your friends, and just sit there and check in with you. How are you doing? What's bothering you right now? What do I need to get off of my shoulders or my chest right now? You know, if you don't want to hear it on Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat or TikTok, tell it to yourself, because everybody ain't your friend. So you got to be your own best friend first. Once you do that, everything else is going to fall into place, you know, but keep yourself right. Like I said, we don't need outside motivation, validation, or inspiration. We carry it from within ourselves. Rebirth your own dreams while you can, and just work to manifest them. You know, encourage yourself daily. Decree declarations over your life daily. Always remember to be thankful, grateful, and humble, because humility will get you all the necessary help you have. But if we come off and we think we know everything, and we have now cornered the market on sense, who wants to breed and feed into us? Nobody. Nobody. So once we learn, when we get on our own nerves, it's time to take a break. Because if we getting on our own nerves, we're getting on somebody else's too. You know? So for me personally, I'll say, oh, it's time to go to sleep, because I'm getting cranky with myself. That's time for me to reset. You know, there is no such thing, ladies, as a bad day, because we can hit the reset button anytime we want to. Hit that button and say, hello, world. Okay, I'm here now. And start your day again, because we have to remove whatever that negative thing was that started to mess up our day, that spoiled our joy, that took our happiness from us. Reset, start over. Nobody or nothing should steal your joy. For all of us fortunate enough to be on this conference, we're alive today. Life is the greatest gift we're given. How we live that life is the greatest gift we give back. So that's my theme for my campaign. Life is the new cool. You know, so we just got to walk in the power and the goodness of ourselves. You know, be thankful that we're allowed to share our visions, our thoughts, our motivations with each other. We're allowed to see our families. We're allowed to go home or clean up home. You know, whatever it is, we're alive to do it. So stop complaining. Because I tell you, somebody somewhere would rather trade places with you than be where they're at. They're not in the ICU. They're on the ventilator. But we stand here and complain. We steal our own joy by polluting our own atmosphere with negativity. Positive. Take that bubble bath, read that magazine, listen to some music. Do whatever it takes to soothe you, calm you, and rejuvenate you. Because you are the main ingredient in the equation of your life to reach your ultimate destination. So I'm just saying that's the best I could really tell you, to keep that positivity, validate yourself, you know, explore really what you want to do, and then put it into action. Because you are your greatest asset.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Dr. King. Oh my goodness. And you know, I know that, I don't know if you want to share any of your story of who you are or not. That's up to you. You know, I honor your privacy, but that's up to you. But you know, one thing that you did say, you were saying, don't allow people to rent space in your head.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sometimes those people become real estate investors.
That's
and
right.
They think they own the real estate in your head. It's time to kick them out, so you don't even have a lease here.
Absolutely. You know, my circle is real small because there people are in your life for a time and a season.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not meant to go where you're going. You know, so you got to look at people like the leaves on a tree. The leaves fall off, but the branches grow strong. So what are you in your life or in somebody else's life? You know, there are three things. You can either be a lesson, learn a lesson, or teach a lesson. What level of life are you at? You know, so there is no failures. It's just a lesson. Now we take from that and we know where our mistake was, and we don't make that same mistake again. Or that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We know we're not crazy, you know, but to that degree, we all got some crazy in us. It's what's going to take us there. So if we tell people ahead of time what we expect, what we will not tolerate, we don't have those kind of problems because we've set the stage and the bar for how we will be treated.
Absolutely.
You know? So, but to tell a little bit of my story, you know, here I am a recovering addict, 15 years. I am an ambassador and an advocate for the preservation of life. I have accomplished all these degrees after the fact, and Don King just happens to be my father. So that way, you know, I'm gonna always be his daughter, my brother's sister, my children's mother. But now I'm putting me first because you didn't hear my name nowhere in that description. So I am Dr. Deborah King, and they just happen to be who I'm related to.
That's right. That's right. And I just, you know, I really thank you and for the relationship we have maintained over the past few years, because as I said, I was in a really murky place at that point. We had met a little bit before that, but at that juncture, I was in a place where I didn't know what to do. And you were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go get something to eat. We're going to chill. And then we'll come back to this and we'll talk about that later. But for right now, this is what we're going to do. So I thank you so much for that. And I'll never forget you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You know, sometimes all you need is someone to listen.
Yes.
We don't have to always speak into each other's lives. That's not what we need to do at that time. So we need to be slow to speak and quick to listen.
Yes.
You know, and we'll know if we need to interject. But once again, that was your problem. I just wanted you to know you weren't alone. But how's it for me to interject into your problem that I don't have nothing to do with? So I don't have the right to get in that lane to tell you what to do until I listen to the whole scenario. Now, if you say, what do you think? You've opened the door for me to come in and say, well, this is what I think we should do. But how dare I try to tell you what to do with your life without your permission?
Absolutely.
I was just there for you.
And I thank you. I really do. And I know you have, and I know you have another engagement this afternoon, but please tell us how our listeners can get in touch with you.
Well, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at I Am Deborah King. I am the CEO and founder of It Takes a Life to Save a Life organization. So it now has a Facebook page as well. You can reach me at ittakesalife@gmail.com. And my phone number always stays the same. And that's on every card on the website. The website is www.ittakesalitotosave.org. And I'm here for you. You know, anything I can do to empower and preserve life as we know it, I'm there. You know, I'm a mental health therapist. I specialize in addictions. We do all kinds of teaching programs. I empower women. I'm against suicide. I try to be preventive in that and preventive in substance abuse or mental health abuse. And I'm just there for you to save your life. And, you know, my tagline is, it takes a life to save a life. So let me begin by offering you mine.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really
so welcome.
appreciate it. And we'll be in touch
God bless
again
all
soon.
you ladies, and you have a wonderful remainder of your day.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. It's time to expand. It really is. Be like Jabez and said, Lord, expand my territory, and expect it to happen. Like Pastor Rhonda Bolden is on here, and I'm part of her prayer group. And I just want to thank her so much. I don't know if she'll be able to stay on here long, but I want to thank her so much for what she is helping us to understand and empowering us and teaching us on a weekly basis. Well, actually twice a week now. It was 7 days a week. But now we're talking about faith. And so we're all doing things out in faith. We're walking in faith. And probably about 15 years ago, the Lord gave me this statement. He said, leap out in faith because your destiny is calling. And so that's what I'm doing, even with this event, because so many things went wrong this morning, couldn't get it to stream. My fire alarm is chirping. I had to create a makeshift desk in here to even record this. But you know what? Wherever there's a will, like you were saying, wherever there's a will, just be, even though you're not able at that time, your will take you farther than your ability. So I believe that wholeheartedly. And next we have now hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, Baravi?
Baravi,
Shara.
Mm-hmm.
We met in a totally different environment. We met through a network marketing group. I learned a lot because I learned a whole lot about holistic living. And you just really shared a whole lot of information I wasn't familiar with. And I was very impressed because you're very articulate. You delve in a lot of different things. You're certified in a lot of different areas. And so I would like for you to share some of what's going on in your life and your transition, even recently.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to this group. It's such an honor to see the rainbow of color. It's beautiful. My name is Bear Vishera. I am a baby Christian, new in the Lord, praise the Lord. And I was focused on wealth and income before I kind of switched over and gave my life to the Lord, and the Lord asked me to be in service. And so in that experience, I have lost my job. I have lost all of my income. I've lost my house. I've lost everything. The only thing I did get to keep was my car and a suitcase of clothing and my immigration papers because I'm Canadian, and a little bit of money to help me pay for my phone bill and food on the table and my car and my insurance and gas. I went from making over $80,000 a year to making maybe $500 a month. And I really had to evaluate my life and ask why this was happening and what to put my energy into. So I dove into giving my life to God. And through that, I became, not only was I a speech language pathologist for 10 years, and I was in the field for over my entire life. People ask me how I got into the industry of speech language pathology and rehab sciences. I got in when I was 8. I had my first reading buddy when I was 8, and I was teaching a child how to read when I was 8. And so from there, I became a therapist. And as I was a therapist, I served the entire population from infancy to 106. I've seen patients from all over. And then my questions were, how do I support my patients in recovering? So my patients weren't recovering. So I learned about massage therapy, yoga therapy, nutrition. And then when I lost my job, I melded all that together and then continued to serve in the best way. To turn things around in 2013, I had a recollection of all of the trauma that I had faced in life. And in that recollection, I knew that this was a new experience of sharing glory with me. I needed to know what the purpose was of me having all of these terrible experiences in my life at an early age, not from my family, but from people outside, babysitters and men and strangers and boyfriends and all these things. And so I know that God doesn't give us something in order to just make us wallow in it. I know God gives us the things that he gives us to glorify his name. So I have just been waiting for the right thing to come through to show me what this is about. Last year, so after all the things happened in my life where I recollected all the trauma, I went into a healing crisis, and I wanted to find out what the root cause of all of this was. And ultimately it was a separation from God. And I needed to go through those steps to really see how to reconnect with God and really connect to what his mission is for me and not what my mission is for myself. So in that, in my discovery of self and all of the trauma, I learned that 85% of women are sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And the other 15% either don't remember or aren't telling the truth, which means 100% of women have been some sort of sexually assaulted in our lifetime. And that to me was extraordinarily profound. And looking back, I understand why I needed to know that. And so last year, I launched a project with 100 other women, 2 co-creators, myself and another woman. And we co-created this event called Freedom for the Children. And it was a 67 plus city march that was a global march for the awareness of human trafficking and child exploitation. It got us on the map for really talking about some of these larger topics and how we really miss what's going on in our society just by being so focused on ourselves instead of being focused on the community as a whole. As a result of that project, my sisters, who are sisters in Christ, have now created a ministry called the Ambassadors of Light Ministry. And we are serving the Lord and creating openness and awareness of how human trafficking and sexual exploitation of children happen every single day, and how we spend money and how that money goes into serving that industry instead of serving the Lord. So I'm here to talk to you about conscious consumerism, and consumerism in that every single one of us is guilty and not innocent in the proliferation and the support of the human trafficking industry. Now sit with that for a second. Yeah, sit with that for a second. It's hard, right? It's hard to really sit with the truth of, wow, I am actually participating and supporting this industry by the way that I spend money. So this is why when we spend money, we do it with Jesus by our side. We don't just spend money. We just look at the Lord and we say, Lord, is this how you want me to spend my money? Is this serving you? So conscious consumerism is such that every single dollar that we spend is either advocating for the freedom of our humans, of our innocent populations, or we're advocating for the opposite. And so when we spend money, we got to look at parent companies, sister companies, companies that are affiliate companies. And in looking at those affiliate companies, we deduce a piece of information that says, hey, if they are doing this at the highest level, then they must be contributing to it at the lowest level. So remember math class in like 5th grade, and they said, if A equals B and B equals C, that means A and C are equal to. Simple deductive logic reasoning. Now, if you take a company like Amazon, who buys from Amazon here? Hands up. Be honest. Okay. I know, I stopped buying from Amazon. And even through this COVID thing, I said, I'm not buying from Amazon anymore or any affiliate companies. Now, if one of my sisters was a survivor of human trafficking, and she has a book, and her book got picked up by Amazon. Did I purchase the book off Amazon? I was going to, but she bought the book for me, so I didn't have to. See how the Lord works? I made my decision and I said, I'm not doing that. So think about what's being sold on Amazon. You think about that for a second. There's toys being made by slave labor. There's children's garments made for adults so that adults can look like children. So we're supporting this idea of pornography, child pornography, using the feminine as a means to support this plague in society that idolizes sexual encounters with children. I don't even know if you know this, but California just passed a bill that says that pedophilia is allowed, it's legal. We are allowed to have sex with children now, and that's normal. We're supporting this industry with the dollars that we spend. How do we do that? Well, we continue to support the secular system instead of supporting the God system and the law of God. And when we support the secular system, we don't enter into our discipleship with God. We enter into an energy harvesting system through Satan's matrix. So if we have products on Amazon that are sold with human rights and civil rights perjury, if it's hurting our youngest people, say I buy something from Nestle. Now I'm going to say a bunch of things and I'm going to seed some things into you, and you might write some things down and do some research. If I buy something from Nestle, I'm supporting slave labor. The cacao that is being harvested from Nestle is supporting slave labor in the places where cacao is grown. So now if I buy that Nestle product off of Amazon, is Amazon not also contributing to that? So now think of other things that you can buy on Amazon. Let's even turn the table onto Netflix. Okay, Netflix came out with a movie called Cuties. I don't know if you heard about that one. So Cuties was a movie about bringing awareness to child exploitation and child pornography. And what they did was they said, it's this analogy of, hey, in order for us to teach children about drugs, let's give them drugs and let's videotape them while they do the drugs. Like, we don't want to do that. So what Cuties did was, let's make a video about child exploitation, and they exploited children in the long run. So then they put this movie out on Netflix, and on Netflix, everybody watches this movie, and there's an outrage. And there's an outrage because those of us who are standing for this truth, we say, why would you do something like that? And why is Netflix supporting it? So if Netflix is supporting this one thing, then they must be supporting other things. And then we put money into that and we support it and we say, hey, that's okay. So my role here is to share with us, to share with the community, to really find connections with local creators. We have Arlene here, who is a fashion designer. We can find people like her who are finding textiles and dyes and manufacturers of fabric that don't participate in the cycle of human enslavement. If we take our money out of that, we can support sisters and brothers who are doing good work in this world, but we have to be willing to ask questions. So when someone asks me to be a brand ambassador for their company, these are the questions that I ask. Who is your parent company? Who is your affiliate corporation? Where do the workers work? How much do they get paid? What are their work conditions like? Why are you not manufacturing in USA? Do the families have children, and are their children being treated well? What is the mean age of the worker at your facility? And then you know what happens? If they don't reply to my questions, I know they're doing something shady. So I won't partner with them. I can't. It's like a solid no. The Lord's like, no, a big no. And so my goal as this part of Ambassadors of Light ministry is to share that we have everything that we need right where we are. And if we are in a place, like I'm in Arizona, so if I can drive to somewhere to get what I need, this is good. And I also want to ask these questions to the corporations that I'm supporting. So if I'm supporting, say, the Bill Clinton Foundation, I want to look at all of the allegations that are behind that foundation. And I want to look at where their money is going and why they're spending the way they're spending. And if truly these large corporations at the highest levels have multi-billion-dollar incomes, then why is human trafficking and child exploitation the largest growing industry on the planet at over $250 billion income and revenue yearly? Why is that? So these are questions that I want people to ask themselves before they spend their dollars. Because we don't want our children, especially our colored children. You know why our colored children are so coveted? Because the melanin in our skin is of higher nutritional value to other ethnic groups. So why do you think we're targeted? We're targeted because our blood is richer, literally.
I mean, shoot, when Shady and Pie moved down there.
Yeah, no, it's over.
She's moving.
Hey, Mary, did you have a question?
He's in her condo here.
Hey, Mari.
In Tampa.
Mari.
Keep moving in that bitch.
Definitely.
All right, let me grab my stuff.
Wow.
Mari.
Mari.
Ciao.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah. So, another thing that we do is this idea of voting with dollars. So as you're looking around in your communities, and you're buying food and you're buying products and you're buying these things, there's an app out, and it's called Buycott, B-U-Y-C-O-T-T, Buycott, B-U-Y-C-O-T-T. Now you can use this app. Now I'm not plugging this app because I make anything from this app. I also think this app is kind of shady. However, this app itself is the only app of its kind. And that's why I'm using it as a prototype to create what it is that we're creating with the Ambassadors of Light Ministry. And one of the parts that we are creating this kind of education. Most of what the ministry is doing is creating a recovery oasis for survivors of sex trafficking and human trafficking of any kind, because human trafficking isn't just sex trafficking, it's also labor trafficking and child labor, and amongst other things. So this app, Buycott, when you get this app, you can join coalitions and you can join civil rights movements. And when you join these movements, you use the app, you open it up on your screen, and you scan a barcode, and it tells you if that barcode is connected to a parent company that's doing some shady stuff. And this is amazing. It's a great app. However, they too have their hand in exploitation. Okay, they too have their hand in exploitation as they're collaborating with Amazon, and they're telling people to purchase off Amazon. So look out for the Ambassadors of Light, because we will come out with all kinds of educational material. If you have any questions, you can message me at info@ambassadorsoflight.org. Sorry, ambassadorsoflight.love. And I would just love to continue this conversation because it is insanely big. And this is not a way that we tend to think about wealth. We tend to think about wealth in terms of what we need for ourselves, but how can we use the wealth of our knowledge, the wealth of our heart, the wealth of the connection we have with God to participate in a world free from enslavement? And that's what the Lord is doing, right? The Lord is bringing us to salvation if we believe in him. And so as we are brought to salvation, let's pull ourselves out of this secular idea of wealth and taxes and paying the man and making the other people wealthy. Let's take in all that spiritual wealth and participate in life from a perspective that lets everyone thrive. And so if you want to know more about what I'm doing, you can find me on Real Revolution Radio. I have a show that's being produced by my producer, Joel Nunez. He's amazing. You'll find my show. It's called Fearless Friday 2.0. I've been scrubbed from Facebook. I've been scrubbed from Instagram for reporting predators, for doing the work that I do. And if we all just allow ourselves to settle in that deductive reasoning that says, if A equals B and B equals C, that means A must equal C, then we will make better decisions and we will help to free our most enslaved populations and move out of this realm of consistent proliferation in human enslavement through money.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And when I did learn a lot, you mentioned that Buycott app when we were together in the network marketing group. And so I learned to use that, and I use it on a regular basis because I do want to support. I've always been about supporting the local business person anyway.
Mhm.
But then when I was in California the last time, I had the opportunity to work, and I've forgotten which proposition it was, but it was to make, no, I'm sorry. It was to make human trafficking illegal. And so we would be on platforms talking to different people about it, having community functions, going from place to get people out to the polls, standing out on the streets, holding signs, to make people aware of what was going to be in the bills that could possibly be passed if they just got out and vote. So I did learn a lot, even had an opportunity to speak on a panel. And one of the things we were asked to do is read a letter from different young ladies who had been trafficked. And I had that opportunity, and it really tore me up when I was reading it. And one of the young ladies, well, the lady I was reading for was actually in the audience, and I did not know it.
Wow.
And she came up to me afterward and she said, "You read it the way I felt it." And it really touched my heart because I didn't know that there were so many people in the US who were involved in human trafficking, even going overseas as business people, they're involved in it. So I learned a lot. I'm thankful that you shared this information and gave us some insight as to how we can assist others to leave that situation as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so deep, and we won't see a freedom from that in this lifetime because every industry and every single corporation has their hand into this field. And so, I just encourage everyone to ask questions. And if you want to connect and ask more questions, I'm here and my sisters are here too. And we're just so grateful to be able to represent this information, as this is like leading edge information. Not a lot of people are talking about this particular aspect of wealth management and consumerism. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we have Dr. Kenya Scott. Hi there, Dr. Scott. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. Now, I have known this young lady since she was a little baby, not a little baby. She was just entering college. She was actually Gabby's classmate. And amazing woman, has just done the best that she can with all her heart. And she's done extremely well. She has 4 amazing little girls. Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And so I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey as becoming a chiropractic doctor.
Okay. Cousins. Hello, cousins. My name is Dr. Kenya Scott, and I'm also known as your chiro cousin. And I'm the owner of Intrinsic Chiropractic and Wellness Clinic. At my office, a patient can receive a spinal adjustment, extremity adjustment, sinus adjustments, kinesio taping, therapeutic exercising, stretching, traction, electrical stimulation, myofascial release, or therapeutic ultrasound. Every patient receives a care plan based on their consultation and exam. I make sure to listen to my patients' complaints and get a thorough history to make sure I have the right diagnosis so I can treat them correctly. I make sure to think about the person as a whole person and not their symptoms, because they are not their symptoms. Their problems can be coming from different areas of the body and not just coming from the pain area. A person's nutrition, social history, and environment is taken into consideration when caring for my patient. In order for my patients to understand this, they have to understand chiropractic. Chiropractic is a healthcare profession that focuses on disorders of the musculoskeletal system and the nutrition and the nervous system, and the effects of these disorders on general health. I like to use the visual of a water hose being stepped on to explain chiropractic to my patients. So what happens to a water hose when someone steps on it? The water stops flowing. Well, in the body, the brain, nerves, and spinal cord all work together to relay messages to and from the brain. Now, if there is a subluxation, which is an interference in the spine, the message can be relayed incorrectly. As a chiropractor, I perform a chiropractic adjustment to fix the subluxation so that the brain, nerves, and spinal cord can continue to relay messages without interference. A chiropractic adjustment is used to restore joint mobility by manually applying a controlled force into the joint that have become hypomobile or restricted in their movement as a result of tissue injury. Tissue injury can be caused by a single traumatic event, such as improper lifting of a heavy object or through repetitive stress, such as sitting in an awkward position with poor spinal posture for an extended period of time. Injured tissue undergo physical and chemical changes that can cause inflammation, pain, and diminished function for the patient. Adjustment of the affected joint and tissue restores mobility, thereby alleviating pain and muscle tightness and allowing tissues to heal. So my purpose as an African American chiropractor is to spread the word about chiropractic to my community. As a child, I never heard of a chiropractor and I never went to a chiropractor. My first time hearing about a chiropractor was in my modalities class while I was working on my undergraduate degree. And the comment made about going into the chiropractic field was very negative. The professor basically said, don't become a chiropractor. After becoming a chiropractor, I realized that a lot of people have negative feelings about going to a chiropractor, but a lot of it has to do with being uneducated about chiropractic and not understanding the purpose of chiropractic. I go to health fairs in the community to give people information about chiropractic. I also attend career days at schools to expand the minds of children in my community. I also spread chiropractic information on my social media platforms as well. If we can get more people to see that chiropractic is very important because you only get one spine and you have to take care of it, we may be able to get more people to overall optimal health. So think about this. You go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned and to get them to look at them and to make sure you have a healthy smile. So why are you not doing the same for your spine? Your spine holds your body up. It's your base and it needs to be checked. If you would like to get daily chiropractic education and health tips from my Instagram page, follow Your Chiro Cousin, and my Facebook page is Kenya Scott DC.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, do you specialize in a certain area? So, we have another chiropractor who's going to be in the recording, and she specializes in, was it cervical chiropractic therapy?
We basically do, you can do it, you can do upper, I think you're talking upper cervical adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't specialize. I do more generalization. I do use what we call activator. So that's
Okay.
one of the specialties that I kind of use in the office as well.
Okay, so at what age would you suggest even any kind of therapy such as that?
At birth, actually, because if you think about it, when you have a baby, the baby has to go through the birth canal to come out. And so that's a very traumatic experience. It's their first part of trauma, really, if you really think about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
you have to get through that canal, so you have to worry about, getting the baby out. And then also some doctors are not as, gentle as they could be when they actually, kind of pull a baby instead of letting the baby kind of, come out. If there's any complication, you may see them kind of tug on the baby's head and shoulders. And so, you want to get adjusted at birth. Even pregnant women, they get adjusted while they're while they're pregnant to help with pain and just the stretch of the ligaments and everything.
Yes, and I look forward to having a session because I know from sitting so much, doesn't that compress the spine
It
from
does. Sitting immobility is one of the main reasons we have a lot of problems. A lot of people not getting up, moving around, and so that causes a lot of problems just with stiffness in the joints. You see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are now having problems with arthritis, especially not going out, getting sunlight. All of this stuff can affect just your body's overall health.
Yes, ma'am. And you're putting some really good pointers on medical pointers on Instagram because I follow those things. You're talking about the different vitamins, how they affect your body, and it's really good information. So I suggest that everybody look into that.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Nothing.
Okay. And what is your website?
I don't have my website up yet. I'm still working on it. The one that I have, I really don't like, so I don't I don't really give it out. But if you want to just follow me or get in contact with me, the best way is either through Instagram or Facebook right now. With Instagram, it's Your Cairo Cousin. And on Facebook, it's Kenya Scott DC.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott. I really, really appreciate it. And I will definitely be making a chiropractic appointment real soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have, is BJ here?
I'm here.
Awesome. There you are. Your picture jumped. This is BJ Maldonado, and she is an amazing esthetician. Oh my goodness. I had some services done by her, and I will never look back. Actually, I'm going to drive all the way from Deltona to Tampa to see her because she's that good.
Aww.
So BJ, please share some information about what you do.
Yeah, my name is BJ. It's Brunilda Julianne Maldonado. So, but I go by BJ. I actually wrote down what I'm going to say today. So excuse my eye contact with the camera. And I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'm located in Tampa, Florida. I'm actually a full specialist. So I do pretty much all things beauty except for hair. So I do facials, body contouring, pretty much everything except for hair. I am here today to present how living a life you love affects your wealth. That was the topic that was going to be discussed. But before I get into that, some of what I would like to share, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of information about my backstory. I grew up in a small town, Fort Myers, Florida. I had a fairly decent childhood up until about the age of 12. At the age of 12, my father passed away, and my life took quite a bit of a detour. I got pregnant at age 14, and by the time I was 18 years old, I had 3 kids. Just giving you a brief synopsis of my life up until a certain point, but I don't want to focus too much on teen pregnancy, childhood trauma, or overcoming abusive domestic relationships. If you're interested in how I overcame any of those things, you can always message me privately on Instagram. And my Instagram handle is at 11 Aesthetics. And I'll be more than happy to share how I overcame some of those obstacles. So with all that, I managed to graduate high school and start to pursue what I thought would be my dream career. I wanted to prove to people that despite everything I had experienced, I could still be successful. I had a desire to prove something to people. So I enrolled in college as a pre-med student, and I realized pretty quickly that being a full-time mother and being a full-time student and being a full-time employee wasn't really going to be possible for me at the time. And so I decided to change my major to health science, and eventually I graduated with an associate's degree. And that actually was a couple of years after giving birth to my 5th child. So I'll do the math for you here. I graduated high school in 2003, and I finished what should have been a 2-year degree in 2009. So essentially it took me 6, almost 7 years to graduate college. I took about a year off, to focus on figuring out what made me happy, only just to continuously feel unfulfilled. My kids were, always the love of my life. And, overall, I can't say that I wasn't happy, but I had that, had heard that, being happy and finding something within yourself was always important. They tell you that when you go to church, or, when you're reading things in magazines, they talk about, internal happiness and how you need to find it and how you have to love yourself. And somehow I just didn't feel like, that was what I was feeling or experiencing. So somehow I ended up back in school again. This time I decided to pursue human service. I felt something, deep within myself. I felt like I had like a calling to serve people. So I figured out, maybe it's social work, maybe it's community outreach. Those are all things that are related to serving people. I graduated with that degree in 2015. And in between my degrees, I had a lot of different jobs. Some were within my field of study and some were not. I worked at Hooters, I worked at Target, I worked at the hospital in the chemistry lab, processing specimens at one point. And I even worked as an account executive in finance, and I traveled all over the country at one point. After all that, nothing. I felt like I wasn't really where I wanted to be. I had a great job, a house, the degrees, I had traveled, all of it just seemed like stopping points. I also forgot to mention to you guys that I always have had like an extreme passion for all things beauty. I love to do hair, I love to do makeup. I would get dolled up for no reason at all. Go to Walmart, get dressed up. Go into the park, get dressed up. I was the one that was in the family that they called to do nails, pedicures, sweet 16s, weddings, all that. At some point, I decided after having all of what I had having done all what I had did and accomplished all of what I had accomplished, I decided that I would enroll in beauty school. And I dropped out twice. And I went back, finally, the third time. And when I walked into class, my instructor, she looked at me and she yelled out from across the room. And she said, well, you know what they say, third time's a charm. And guess what? It was. Now, while I was in beauty school, I was working a 9 to 5. I was doing nails on the side, not because I had to, but because it was fun and I enjoyed it. It was my passion, but it was also a hobby. And a little before I graduated, I experienced what I would call a huge life event. A few, actually. And this caused me to kind of go back and ask myself some questions. One night, I sat in my car and I said a silent prayer to God. And in that prayer, I asked God to show me if I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, whatever that might be. I asked him to show me if I was where I needed to be, because honestly, I didn't know. When I finished the prayer, I reached at my ignition, shut off my car, and the clock said 11:11. I gazed at it for a moment and I thought, that's cool, but I didn't really think much of it. A couple of weeks later, I was drawing up some business plans in class. Not that I ever thought they were going to come to pass, but just, drawing some up. And I kind of reached a mental block and I took a break and I decided to take a walk outside with one of my instructors. And during that walk, I decided to speak with her about my aspirations to have my very own company. At the end of the conversation, she looked at her watch and she said, oh shoot, it's 11:11. Break is over, we're gonna be late, we have to get back to class. I immediately recognized that it was the same time that my prayer had ended a couple of weeks prior. The numbers 11:11, 111, and 11 seemed to show up what seemed like everywhere. And so I decided to do some research, and here's what I found. In numerology, the number 11 represents instinct. It's the most intuitive of all numbers. It's your connection to your subconscious, to gut feeling and knowledge without rationality. It's also a number that you'll see often when you're about to experience a spiritual awakening or a rebirth of some sorts. And according to the Bible, the number 1111 is considered to be a wake-up call and spiritual awakening. And if this number enters your life and you see it everywhere, this could be a message that God is calling you. Another biblical meaning of the number 11, as well as the number 1111, is transition. And so, they say that the two most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. And little did I know, I was about to find out. And so fast forward to shortly after I finished beauty school, I graduated in the month of October. And in November, the week of 11/11, to be exact, I received a grant in the amount of $18,000 to start my business. I'm sorry. I literally applied on a whim, submitted the business plans that I had been working on in school, and boom, less than a month later, I had a check in my hand. But the story doesn't end there. I have a ritual that I do for every client when they sit down in my chair or they lay on my table. I always say a prayer for them. And I always thank God for providing me with their business. Many of my clients, especially the ones that are coming in for medical aesthetics, are coming to me because they're not happy with something. And usually, pretty much almost always, it's something physical. They have a scar that they want to get rid of, or they have acne that they're trying to heal or get rid of. And sometimes they're embarking on a weight loss journey, and they're looking for body contouring. Maybe they have a wedding coming up, just all kinds of stuff. Maybe they're just trying to tone up. They need some help with that. For some reason or another, they're not happy with themselves physically. And what I realized is that I get to share with every client is that beauty comes from within. That as you begin a journey towards achieving physical beauty, you unknowingly embark on a journey of self-love, in that the transitioning and awakening that one experiences as they start their journey to become beautiful inside and out. And you guys, that is my purpose. I get to make a living doing what I love, which translates into being able to make money and provide for my family. And for me, that is wealth. Here's some questions that I'd like for you to take note of and ask yourself, for all of you that are maybe not sure what your purpose is, or maybe, trying to figure out what makes you happy. These are all questions that I asked myself, and some of them are questions that Eli asked me, and some of the women around asked me. How do you define wealth? Is it how much money you have in the bank? Is it your health? Because you know what they say, health is wealth. Is it being successful? And if it is, how do you as an individual define success? For some people, success might mean that they've accumulated a lot of accolades like degrees, or maybe they've been afforded opportunities to travel. Maybe success means having a job that pays well, and it allows you to provide a comfortable lifestyle for yourself and for your family. And maybe success means you have flexibility in time and leisure with loved ones, or like someone mentioned earlier, time to pursue what your passion is, whatever that might be. Maybe it's the house that you live in, or maybe it's the car that you drive. The answers to these questions are going to be different for some of you, because our measures of success may not be the same, and that's okay. In fact, it's important not to compare your success or your definition of success to others. I also want you to ask yourself what your purpose could be. What do you do in your spare time just for fun? What are you good at? Is there something that you would like to do for free if you had time and if you had the resources? Something that I also want you to take note of is the acronym for money, or an acronym for money, because there's many. My own natural energy yield. And I want you to think about what that might look like to you. I wanted to thank Eli for providing me with the opportunity to speak on this platform today. And I want to thank you all for being here. And I wish you all the opportunity to live a life you love, full of wealth, whatever that means to you.
Thank you so much, BJ. You are such a sweet, sweet person. I just love you so much. And I do. I would just text you just because. because I love your heart. I love your spirit. And I'm so thankful that you were able to find your purpose and are still living your purpose on a daily basis. And yes, your services, oh my gosh, her services are amazing. Oh my goodness gracious. So yes, I will be driving to Tampa to see you. Yes, ma'am. Now, will you share with us? I know it's 1111 Aesthetics on Instagram.
Yes, I'll put it in the chat. It's at 1111, and 1111 is spelled out, and it's Aesthetics AE. So for all of you that don't know, when aesthetics is spelled with an AE, it's medical. When it's just with an E, it's more so for like salon type services, right? I'm a medical esthetician, so it's spelled with the AE, and I'll drop it in the it's at 1111 Aesthetics. That's what my Instagram is, and I'll drop it in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, are you open Monday through Saturday? What are your days that you're open?
Thursday through Saturday.
Awesome. Great. And that gives you time with your babies.
It does.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much for presenting. That's great. Awesome. Well, now we have Miss Maria Michelle out of the ATL. Oh, yes. I can hardly wait to meet this person, this dynamic woman in person. I have not met her yet, but I've heard so much about you. I can hardly wait. So, will you please introduce yourself?
Of course. First, thank you so much, Eli, for inviting me to this conversation and this sharing, and just using your platform in this way to not only empower but uplift women. One of the ladies said it a little bit ago, I can't remember who it was, but she said something to the effect of, we hold the world together, we lift it up. And I am in full agreement with that. And so to all of the ladies, thank you so much for your contribution to the collective and for sharing today. And Eli, just for having us and creating this space for us.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. And so my name is Maria Michelle. And as many of you ladies, I'm a mom as well. Who wears many hats. The blessing, though, is that my children are adults now. And so they're not in the house with me. I get to see them here and there, which affords me time to myself, much needed time to myself. So for the moms who still have the babies, I miss those days, but you got some really nice days coming up too. I am an inventor, an author, a curriculum developer, and a growth work facilitator. And so I've got a product that I invented called Gifted Cakes. And Gifted Cakes are memorable gifts that I co-create with people to help them to be the best gift givers to those that they care about and love. I'm also the founder of the beautiful Banyan Institute for Healing and Growth Work. So I offer online classes, I offer year-long intensives, yearly retreats in the Georgia mountains, and I also have a center in Marietta, Georgia that's opening up in May. Essentially, I help people to have healthier mental and emotional states. And so what that looks like is sometimes that's through trauma-informed care, but most often it's through examining cognitions, examining and adjusting beliefs, and through perspective shifts. I'm what's considered a task shifter, and so I'm a non-degree holder, but otherwise qualified and trained to support others in a particular area. And for me, that's healing and growth work. So while I'm not licensed in a particular area of study, I am trained and certified in various areas, including trauma-informed care, cognitive behavioral therapy, and many other supportive healing and growth work modalities and technologies. So what I noticed was sometimes in minority communities, especially Black and Brown communities, we don't reach out for support in addressing issues, particularly dealing with healing trauma. Sometimes that's because of finances and resources. What I learned, though, is most times it's because of embarrassment or the fear of being judged, right? Or the fear of being misunderstood, because we think that the person that we're going to speak to is not going to be able to resonate with what we've been through. And so I began this journey many years ago because of my own realization that I had traumas that needed to be healed. And to be clear, everything is not going to be trauma. Some things are just hard and it's just a part of life and it is what it is. But unfortunately, some things we've experienced have been traumatic incidents. And so left unchecked, it shows up in our life continually and in so many different ways. And we don't realize that that's the foundation of it or the root of it, right? And so sometimes it's hard for us to open up to people who we don't feel like resonates with that or could understand that or may judge us because they don't speak the way that we speak. And so as a task shifter, I think I fill in that space perfectly because I have had, unfortunately, a lot of situations that I've had to overcome, accept, lean into, grow through, heal, right? And so, and because I'm from Detroit, the inner city, I'm from the hood, I understand the language, I understand, how to, I guess, just bond and connect with people who would otherwise feel insecure about going into traditional counseling offices. I've been in them my whole life. They've saved my life over and over again. And so I understand the importance of it. And so my work is to connect with people who would not or don't go into offices generally to get that support and help. And I do that through the online classes, the intensives, and being so spoiled and blessed by God. I think I'm his favorite daughter. Y'all can disagree if you want to. He's now given me a space, a physical space where I can host 11 men and women at the same time to offer my services as well. And so I believe that God takes us down a path that is only explained through his will, right? And I believe he takes us down that path so we can collect the tools that we need necessary to do his work, right? And so when I look back over my life experiences and things that I've grown through, it's only, sometimes I would fuss and kind of say like, God, you got other kids. Why you keep giving me all this hard stuff, right? But then I realized I needed it all. Even the most unpleasant things, I needed it all because it gave me the tools, the resilience, right? The diligence to do his work. And I'm grateful to God for every one of them. I also believe, and y'all might not like this, but I'm gonna say it because I love y'all, right? I also believe that we are responsible for our lives, period. While God is in control, and he certainly controls our breaths, I'm responsible for how deep those breaths are. I'm responsible for how fulfilling and healing those breaths are. And I'm responsible for how my life impacts those around me, those I'm in connection with, and those that are assigned to me. Because believe it or not, there are people whose lives are assigned to us individually. Some of those folks we know already, we've already come across them. Some of them we have yet to meet, but there are people's lives who are assigned to me. And so when I'm dilly-daddling and procrastinating and not doing my work and not being in my power, there are other people whose lives are not where they could be because they are waiting on me. They don't know they're waiting on me, right? I don't know their names, but I know there are people whose lives are assigned to me. I want everybody to just be mindful of that and keep that in mind when you're thinking about and working in your purpose. There are people whose lives are assigned to you, right? A reminder that I give myself often, I got it actually blown up and put in my office as a daily reminder for myself and for those who come in and out of the space. And it says, I am 100% responsible for my life. It is my decisions, perspective, belief, and resilience that ultimately decide what my life looks like, not my childhood experiences, not those in positions to nurture me, not a single person outside of myself. Sometimes I think we look to our parents, the ex-boyfriend, the ex-husband, the one boss, whatever, whoever it is, to point our finger and say, you're the reason my life looks like this. They may have contributed to a circumstance or a situation or an event. You are responsible for your life and how that event, circumstance, or thing impacts you on a daily basis and shows up in how you show up, right? And just overall, I think that things like conditioning, the conditioning that we experienced when we were younger, conditioning that we created ourselves, illnesses that are unsupportive states of being as a result of epigenetics, our belief systems, the effects of toxic stress, emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, all of those things we have power and autonomy over. We have agency in our lives. Those things, as well as many, many other things that either we believe, acknowledge, or accept or not, right? It's still on us. We've got power. We are powerful people. We certainly are powerful women, right? I'm also an author and a publisher. To date, I've written 6 books and I've published 8. All are in the vein of self-empowerment, self-development, the last being a trilogy of books that are called Connected. It's the Connected series. And the books are questions to foster a deeper connection with ourselves and with other people, right? Those other people may be in our tribe, which are the people that we can depend on consistently for love, support, and help, or our lovers, whether that be a mate, a husband, or a potential mate, right? They're questions that we can ask ourselves to get better understanding of those people and ourselves. For me, self-awareness is an amazing healing tool, source perspective, right? And so one of my favorite books that I've written is Connected Self. This is a book of over 180 questions that gives you an opportunity to do a deep dive into asking yourself these questions that you typically would not ask yourself, because sometimes we just don't know the questions to ask, right? Of others, and most certainly and more profoundly of ourselves. And so I wrote that book based on questions that I asked myself when I went through a self-imposed sabbatical, right, some years ago, and was trying to just get to the root of some of these things. Like, why do I show up like this in this area? Why is this still such a heavy trigger for me? What does this thing come from when this particular thing that a person does that I know is a trigger, where is that coming from? Why is it, right? I think if we can ask ourselves some of these questions and get a better understanding of the why, then we can begin the work of healing, readjusting, accepting, because sometimes it's not about fixing the thing, it's just accepting it, right? And so that book is super profound in that way, because it gives us the room and the questions to get to know ourselves better. What I think is one of the most unsupportive and, to be honest, a very unloving thing is when we have disconnect or strife in a relationship and we go immediately to, you don't love me, I don't trust you, you don't understand me. When I got to looking at it for myself, I ain't talking about y'all, because I know none of y'all do this. I'm just talking about me right here, right? When I would do that, I had to stop and look at myself and say, Maria, do you know you in that space, right? Do you trust Maria? Do you trust yourself? Because if you don't know yourself and you don't see yourself and you don't trust yourself, how is it reasonable to ask other people to see you, to know you, and to trust you? It's unloving and it's not supportive at best, right? And so that's the work that I do. Like, I get people to into a space where they're able to learn themselves. Self-awareness is powerful. And then I share the tools that I've gathered and learned and been taught for healing traumatic events, and just asking those questions, because I got a whole bunch of questions, right, that help me. You got to have a whole bunch of questions that you can answer that are going to help you, right? And so that's what I do. The other thing that I wanted to share was at the top of this, or the beginning of this, when Eli first invited me, she said, I want you to kind of share some of the things that you've done to accumulate wealth, right? And we understand that wealth being multifaceted, right? And I've got a modality that I call, or methodology that I call whole life prosperity, being that prosperity is in 5 different areas of our life: emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, and then financial, right? And so in order to have wealth, for me, in order to have wealth, I've got to be healthy in all of those areas. Finances are cool. I want them. I'm working diligently, every day to acquire them. But for me, my mental health and my emotional health and my spiritual health and my physical health are always going to trump the financial piece, because that's going to come. As long as I do what I'm supposed to do according to God, and I stay in His will, and I'm not being hard-headed and, doing the work that He has me here to do, the money's going to come. So I wrote this out, and I want to share it with you guys before I let you go. 3 things that have contributed to me acquiring wealth are: 1, investing in myself. I am the person who continually invests in myself, whether that be through paying for trainings and certifications and learning as much as I can about my area of work, which is growth work and healing work, particularly trauma. But it also means investing in myself as far as my own personal healing and growth work. I'm never done. And as far as I've come and as much as I've learned and as much as I've healed, life is continuing to happen. And so there are always going to be things to address, to look at, to reevaluate, and to heal. And if 2020 didn't teach me anything else, it taught me how resilient I am. And I would venture to say that on some level, I think that it taught all of us it showed all of us either areas that we are more resilient than we thought we were, or areas that need more of our attention, right? So that's one, I invest in myself continually. Two, I am very intentional. And in that, I'm clear, I try to be always very clear about what my intention is going into something. So whether that's with a task or an opportunity, right? I ask myself, is your intent to make an impression or to make an impact? Once I get clear about that, the rest of it kind of flows, because sometimes the impression is, I want to make an impression on my bank account. I want to increase that thing, right? That's an impression. Sometimes the impression is, I want to impress the people. It may be my family. It may be somebody who told me I could never, right? It could be constituents who have the letters behind their name. I may want to make an impression on them. That's one vein. It could be I want to make an impression that is based around a campaign, a marketing campaign, a push that I'm doing to try to bring in a certain dollar amount so that I can reprint some books, whatever it is. The impression may be in that vein. The other thing that I look at is it the impression that's going to be most important in this space or in this opportunity or in this task, or is it to make the impact? The impact in that sense is going to be, it's going to be longer lasting. It's going to have a ripple effect, which means it's going to hit that and spread out. Most times I try to operate in the space of, or in the vein of, or in the lane of, I want to be an impact, period. The impressions are necessary. I got to do them. They come with it. But more often than not, my intent is to be an impact in any space or opportunity that I'm given. And then lastly, a piece that has contributed to me acquiring wealth is providing exceptional customer service. Not okay customer service, not above average customer service, exceptional, because that's the money piece. On top of it being morally correct, right? When somebody is supporting me in any way, whether that be monetary or otherwise, I want to provide the best experience I can between me and that person. But when you're talking about the money piece for me, as long as I provide exceptional customer service, I always get the money, because referrals are my best marketing tool. And in my experience, that's the most sales generating piece, is me providing exceptional customer service. And I have some difficult customers sometimes. And I'm not speaking in the vein of Beautiful Banyan, my healing institute, but specifically for gifted cakes. Because it's personalized gifts and because because it's emotional based products, right? Sometimes personalities clash, but I always do this, ting, right? Always, because at the end of the day, they are supporting my little dream and my little self. And so exceptional customer service is that piece for me that is supportive and contributing wealth. Again, Eli, thank you so much. Today has been awesome. I've got a lot of nuggets. I took me a bunch of notes. I appreciate you ladies. I know that you're all powerful and that you are supporting the people that are assigned to you in the most profound way, and will continue to do so. I applaud you and I thank you ladies. You guys can reach me on, I'm primarily on Instagram and Facebook under those three names, Maria Michelle. Maria is M-A-R-E-A, as you guys can see, and Michelle with one L, on both platforms under Maria Michelle. I'm also on both under Gifted Cakes, and gifted is not spelled traditionally, or the traditional way, G-I-F-T-E-D, is gift, it, so G-I-F-T-I-T, case. And then beautiful banyan. And for you guys that don't know, banyan trees are these massive trees. I just want to give y'all a backstory because I just love banyan trees. Banyan trees are these massive trees that look like one tree, but essentially what they are is a host tree whose seeds drop and germinate to create multiple trees. And so it'll look like literally a forest. There are the larger banyan trees are in Hawaii and in China. And I was fortunate enough to visit the one in Hawaii. I wanted to see this tree so bad, I went to go see this tree. But it looks like one tree, but it's literally like a whole area of trees that all started from this one host tree. And so I believe that in life, we kind of act, if we're operating our purpose and, we're doing things as we should, we kind of act as banyan trees because I'm the host in my community, in my tribe, in the folks that are assigned to me. And then the seeds that I drop, right, create these other trees who do the same thing, drop these seeds and create. And so it looks like it's all these different trees when really, and if you think about it, God's the host, banyan, right? And we're all we're fractals of God. And so yeah, anyway, beautiful banyan on Instagram and Facebook. And banyan is BANYAN. And then, of course, all three sites, mariamichelle.com, giftedcakes.com, GIFTIT, cakes.com, beautifulbanyan.com. And so that's all I got.
That's all you get?
That's all I got.
I'm full, girl. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. And I've started reading, I browsed through Sherelle.
Okay.
Sherelle is her sister. And I browsed through one of your books and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to order some. Yeah. One of the points that you made, you said that you have the book connected and it has 180 questions. Yeah. A lot of times people will say, well, I did a 360. So you became what you were. That's exactly. What you're supposed to do a 180.
A 180.
So I think that is so apropos. My gosh, I can hardly wait to get that.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Dr. Miranda. I'm with Essence of Life Spinal Care. I'm grateful to be here and sharing with you today my profession, what I love to do. And I also want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this professional women's panel. So I am an upper cervical chiropractor and I've been practicing in the Tampa Bay area since 2013. And why I chose to become a chiropractor in the first place, I really say, chiropractic chose me. I didn't choose chiropractic because that actually was not my initial choice in what I was going to do for my professional career. So I say chiropractic chose me, and I'll kind of go into a little bit of detail of what I meant by that. Initially, I wanted to go into another profession dealing in the realm of holistic medicine. Chiropractic was never really in the forefront of my mind until my dad actually got into a car accident when I was finishing undergrad at USF. And is when he started seeing a chiropractor that chiropractic even came about, or I started to learn more about what chiropractic was. Initially, I just thought, chiropractic is just for, neck pain, back pain. If you've been in a car accident, then you need a chiropractor. So I didn't initially think, I needed a chiropractor. But I wanted to find out more about chiropractic and what this profession was about. I started doing some research, finding out about the philosophy and science of chiropractic, and it really resonated with me because it deals with exactly what I wanted to do as a profession, and that's help people, change people's lives, help them get better, help them get off of their medications, help them heal, function better, have a better quality of life. And that's exactly what I got and what I'm getting through this profession. It was really after my own experience with chiropractic, and specifically upper cervical chiropractic, which I'll go into in a moment, that really gave me the passion for chiropractic and sharing that message and practicing to others in the community and helping other people heal, feel better, be at their optimal potential in health and in life, because our health affects ultimately our life. So on through chiropractic school, I started getting regular chiropractic care. I was dealing with my own health issues at the time. I did have, headaches, some digestive issues. My main concern though was the heart palpitations I was having. I went through all the examinations, echocardiograms, EKGs, everything was coming back normal, but I was still having this issue. So one of my professors was actually practicing upper cervical chiropractic outside of school. So I decided to go see him, and mind you, I was already getting chiropractic care, just general chiropractic adjustments of my spine. And then I started seeing this upper cervical chiropractor, and I said, what's really the difference? It really focuses on the upper part of the spine, removing, pressure off of the spinal cord, focusing on the first two bones of the spine, the atlas and the axis. As you can see here, the very top two bones of the spine. So removing that tension off of the upper spinal cord helps the body and the brain communicate more effectively with each other, to allow the body to heal and function the way it was designed to. I started getting treatment, and after the first adjustment, I felt sort of a release, an emotional release, some pressure being released. I felt less mental fog, more mental clarity, less headaches. I started getting, my heart palpitations started to get less severe. And within 6 months, I really didn't have any more heart palpitations. My headaches were gone, and I was just feeling so much better. And I was amazed by what a small correction at the top of the neck had in my entire body. It just completely changed my whole world and my health. And I said, wow, this is what I want to do. This is the impact I want to have on people. So that's essentially why I decided to practice upper cervical chiropractic. A lot of people may have not heard of upper cervical chiropractic and just really heard about just general chiropractic. And again, probably thinks that it has to do with car accidents, neck pain, back pain. But chiropractic, there's a lot more than just that. That's sort of like the tip of the iceberg. But underneath it all, it's really about getting the nervous system to function better. And our nervous system is what controls everything in our entire body. Our spinal cord and all the nerves that come out go to different organs, cells, muscles, tissues. So what chiropractors do is we analyze and see what's going on within the spine, where are the misalignments, or what we call subluxations. And that's basically that pressure we talked about on the nerves affecting those nerve signaling and causing dysfunction within the body. Chiropractors locate that in the spine and remove it through spinal adjustments. So with upper cervical chiropractic, we really focus on the upper cervical spine. So C1 and C2 within the spine. So the very top two bones here. So you have your atlas and you have your axis. So these two bones here are what protect the lower brain stem, and any pressure up here is really going to affect how your body functions. So the brainstem controls, sleep regulations, heart regulations, spinal temperature or body temperature within your body. And any pressure in this area is going to cause malfunction within the body. So upper cervical chiropractors locate and correct subluxations of the upper cervical spine. And this in turn affects how the body heals, how the body functions. So millions of people have been affected and lives have been changed like mine through chiropractic in general, but definitely specifically upper cervical chiropractic care. And that's essentially why I got started and why I'm still practicing to this day and passionate about what I do in helping others heal and function better. So upper cervical chiropractic, if you'd like to learn a little bit more for yourself or others, you can also visit our website. We have some educational information there, some videos you can look at, and it's essentialspinalcare.com. I thank you again for this opportunity, and again, my name was Dr. Miranda with Essence of Life Spinal Care. Bye.
Thank you so much for bringing what you have to the table and sharing. I thank all of you ladies. It has been an absolutely wonderful day. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go take some more notes. Thank you for being with us today at Business on the Real with Eli Thompson. And I'm your host and executive producer. And I look forward to seeing you again the next time. But remember, you can always put your business on the real to get more exposure so you can build your legacy. Until the next time, so long. Again, we thank you for joining us on Business on the Real with Eli Thompson. We thank you for joining us in celebration of Women's History Month with 12 rounds of wealth, passing the baton. And until the next time, ciao for now.